The following is a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Dallas set 4 players inside the 6-yard box. RSL keys the runs from around the penalty spot. They run towards the near post. Luna whips it in, headed away by Ibiaga. That's what he's in there to do. And now Sarver going the other way. Sarver splits 3 defenders. He's all alone into the RSL half. Here's Sam Sarver at full stretch. Sarver to seal it!
FC Dallas returned to their point-accumulating ways Wednesday, drawing Portland 2-2 in their first post-World Cup matchup. Dallas's extended road trip continues tonight as they're still on the West Coast, taking on San Diego FC. The Burn took a point off San Diego and Frisco back in March, thanks in large part to a Petter-Musa hat trick. Dallas looks for their first win at Snapdragon Stadium tonight as they take on former assistant Mikey Varas and San Diego FC. Along the lines of the FC Dallas Radio Network, it is the FC Dallas pregame show presented by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. On tonight's presentation, we'll have Today in FC Dallas history. Our commentary team for the evening, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, will join me to break down tonight's MLS After Dark Western Conference matchup. But first, we bring in Steve Davis for a look at tonight's major headlines. Steve, it's good to see you again for what feels like just yesterday we were here together getting this thing started up again.
That's okay, Sam. I like when we get together for these anyway, and it's not quite after dark just yet, but close enough, huh?
Yeah, it's still a little light here out in Texas time with the summertime, but it'll get there in due time. But it was after dark on Wednesday when we saw Dallas and Portland get after it, and boy, that was a bit of an ugly game at times. But it comes out with honors even, everyone getting a point. But I gotta say, compared to how chaotic the rest of the West and specifically some of the Western contenders looked, Dallas getting a point is probably one of the better case scenarios coming out of the break.
Yeah, for sure, Sam. I didn't think the other day was a bad result at all. I mean, Portland was high in confidence coming off of a big win. FC Dallas is at a place where typically they don't win. And I do know they lost a lead late, and that's never great. But it wasn't so late. There was still a chance for Portland to go and grab all the points, and I think Dallas walked out of there feeling like, well, they did hang on and he held the line for a point. And I'm quite certain that Dallas's locker room was much happier than Portland's was afterwards. So I thought it was a pretty good point earned.
Well, the crew looking to get their first win in San Diego tonight is as follows for Eric Quill. It's Daniel Annette, Shaq Moore, Osazi Urgide, Sebastian Ibiaga, and Nolan Norris on defense. Joaquin Valiente, Christian Kappas, Kaik, and Ron Benjamin, alongside Petter-Musa and Patrickson, Wednesday's goal scorers up top for FCD. And it's good to see Petter-Musa back in the lineup. We saw him play about 30 minutes in Tuesday's draw, get the at the time game-defining goal before it was taken away by the now departing Felipe Mora. But he gets Patrickson drawn in to start next to him, who also had a pretty impressive goal on Wednesday in and of itself. What do you think of this interesting goal-scoring duo up top for Dallas?
Well, I mean, we talked about it on the build-up, which I hope everybody's listening to these days, that I just didn't see any way you didn't start Petter-Musa today. I know that, he got a little time off after the World Cup, but he looked so sharp the other day. It wasn't just the goal, but I thought he was really sharp in his movements, confident in his ball handling. He was connecting plays. So who knows how long he can go today. Maybe he's got 60, maybe a little bit longer. I feel like there have been times when Eric has sort of wanted to rest Petter just a little bit, maybe get him off the field, and then he ends up going 90. So sometimes those plans just go out the window. So we'll see how that goes. And then as far as Patrickson Delgado, he has these games where he's just sort of invisible until he ain't. Until he comes up with a really big moment, like scoring a big goal the other night on a nice, well-placed shot. So I still want to see him get a little bit more involved in the run of play. But I suppose if he can give you, a goal, then that's getting the job done, I guess.
And with Patrickson's presumed promotion to the up top, that means it'll be Joaquin Valiente, who started on Wednesday on the right side, and the Israeli international Ron Benjamin coming in for his first start since the break, the World Cup break. And that's going to be a very tenacious outside pairing, and it's going to be necessary, A, because San Diego brings a lot of firepower, and 2, because Kappas and Kaik both played a lot of minutes on Wednesday.
Yeah, well, and Valiente did too, in a tough game on artificial turf, so we'll see where their legs are tonight. I think it's going to factor into what Eric Quill does a little bit. I probably expect him to press a little bit less than we saw when these teams played in March when it was nice and cool. Dallas was at home, I think that was probably the most I'd ever seen Dallas press anyway under Eric Quill. So I don't think they'll go quite as high and quite as hard. I think they'll choose their moments to press. But you're right, midfield. It's going to be interesting to see what Kappas and Kaike have in there because they're both high energy players anyway, and they put a lot on the. They emptied the tank the other night up in Portland.
I will say, feels like 75 and is 75 at Snapdragon Stadium tonight. So definitely a little cooler than what we're getting back here in Texas, even back in March. Looking at the back line for Dallas, they do make a couple changes. Out goes Herman Johansson. In comes Sebastian Viaga to play alongside Osazi Urgide. That pushes Shaq Moore, who will take the captain's armband tonight, out to right back. And this was something else we speculated about for a couple reasons on the build-up on Friday. One, Herman struggled a little bit both with the officiating and some of the one-on-one matchups out wide. And two, because without Ramiro, who's going to be out a few weeks with his foot injury, they kind of need a little bit more communication up through that middle spine, and that's something Sebastian Biaga is very good at.
Yeah, for sure. And, against San Diego, being really well organized behind the ball as you're in possession is so important because, San Diego can really find you and can find the gaps in transition. Dreyer's really good at doing that. Dreyer's also good at managing play until he finds an avenue to go. So Ibiaga in there to organize, I think, is going to be very important. And, the other change there is Shaq Moore. It looks like he's going out to right back. And I tell you what, man, that guy, if he's not the defensive MVP this year, I don't know who is because he looks really good at center back, not his natural position. But then I expect him to go out to right back, and he's got all the tools out there where he's really good. 1v1, he can get up the right side, so I think he's having just a fantastic season.
And it could be especially interesting to see him on offense tonight since Dallas has been sending that right back very high, whether it's him or Johansson, to see him, and we saw him contribute a lot like that last year. I'm thinking back to the Miami win where he was up high and fired in a couple crosses that resulted in goals. So it'll be curious to see not just how he handles all that firepower for San Diego, but how he can contribute on offense for FC Dallas. But speaking of San Diego FC, boy, 2026 is not going quite like 2025 did for Mikey Varas' team. One win in their last 13 matches. That came all the way back in May against Austin, back when Austin was even in a worse tailspin. Irving Lozano still not with the team. No real resolution in sight for that. They have made some changes. They've made some signings, specifically Ian Murphy's coming in from Colorado. They've made a couple other changes to bring in some new blood to kind of revitalize the system. But at the very least, they are still committed to that high-intensity style, that high-possession style. It kind of feels like this is a little bit of a repeat of St. Louis. They came into the league. They were firing on all cylinders. They won the conference and then crashed out in the first round. Kind of feels like and then crashed out in general last year, got Bradley Carnell fired. Kind of feels like that's what San Diego is on track for right now.
You have to admire Mikey Varas for at least, sticking to his principles because, I'm telling you, if FC Dallas put 15 guys on the field today, they would still try to play out of the back and patiently play out of the back. And sometimes it stings them a little bit, but they are just relentlessly obsessed with playing that way. And so I do admire them for that. It's it's an attractive style. Things haven't really gone their way, but I feel like they're still a really talented team. I love what Anders Dreyer gives them, and Marcus Invarksen up front is a good player. I love Jeppe Sverskov. I think it's along the back line and maybe in goal where they've been just inconsistent this year. They'll make a couple of mistakes and you give up the ball a couple of times. I expect them to cough it up a couple of times in possession tonight. It's just a matter of whether Dallas can take advantage. So I do really like San Diego as a team still, even though they just can't put any W's on the board. I really thought against Colorado the other day they were pretty good. I thought they managed the game pretty well. They didn't press a whole lot. They'll press more at home tonight, but I thought the other day they got a little unlucky in giving up a late goal, and otherwise they would have walked out of Colorado with a point.
And I think, before we head to break here, there's a lot of fans that still have 5-0 buried in their brain from last year out at Snapdragon Stadium. And I get it. That was not a fun day in FC Dallas history. But, man, the differences in both teams, both how they are in general and talent-wise, that game might as well have been 5 years ago at this point.
I agree, and I'm not even sure I I feel like it's necessary to bring it up anymore because just what you said. I feel like it's a completely different Dallas team. It's clearly something's gone the other way for San Diego. So to me, that one feels like it was about 3 years ago.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that to bed because I know a lot of supporters were talking about it leading up into this one. So everyone take a breath, relax. It's all hopefully going to be good, knock on wood, tonight. But that is Steve Davis, who is always good no matter what the situation. He'll be on the call for tonight's broadcast and also join myself and Ryan in our third segment to break this one down just a little bit more in depth. Steve, thank you, sir. Enjoy the giant TV we've got in front of us here.
It's great, and you're welcome.
All right, when we return here on the FC Dallas pregame show, we'll have Today in FC Dallas history. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
You push your body hard in the name of fitness. Sure, it's for a good cause. But a good cause shouldn't mean sacrificing a good time. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now! We're kicking things off by kicking up mud. Jump in, campers. We're going off-roading in a 4Runner. Next, we're heading to the hot springs in a RAV4. And finally, park your Tundras and Tacomas around the campfire because we're roasting marshmallows. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
When you don't compromise on the court, you shouldn't compromise off of it either. Lose the calories, not the taste. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. Copyright 2024.
Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A dinner. All season long, when FC Dallas wins at home, fans win free Chick-fil-A. Be sure your Chick-fil-A app is up to date and location services are turned on when you attend matches at Toyota Stadium. After the team wins, before you leave your seats, open the app to redeem the Chick-fil-A offer. Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. In our next segment, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis will join me to break down the lineups and tactics for tonight's matchup. But first, let me tell you about the FC Dallas Radio Network podcast feed, available anywhere free podcasts are found. It's anchored by the FC Dallas postgame show, highlights, stats, analysis right after the final whistle, a nice little 30-minute or less package that brings you everything that was in the game that was. If you miss it live, fear not, it goes up directly after the game ends, so you'll have it for your morning commute the next day, or if you just want to relive it that night, it's available to you then, is the FC Dallas postgame show. And this year we're in Season 2 of the FC Dallas Agenda, the official FC Dallas podcast. Ryan, Steve, and Garrett Meltzer bring you in-depth analysis, critical thoughts, big-time interviews, everything you could possibly need about your favorite Major League Soccer club. Those episodes usually drop on Wednesday during a normal match week, but when there's big news or multiple matches, keep an eye out for the rotating schedule, but the FC Dallas Agenda is your go-to podcast for anything FC Dallas. And just this year, we've debuted The Build-Up, our game preview podcast that drops the day before a match. In this case, we dropped The Build-Up yesterday with myself, Steve, and Garrett, talking about FC Dallas versus San Diego FC. You'll get thoughts on the lineup, thoughts on the injury report, what the opponent's doing, critical matchups, FC Dallas wins and loses if, everything you need in just about 20 minutes to get you ready for the next FC Dallas match. So how do you get all this great content? Go to your podcast provider of choice, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get great free podcasts. Type in FC Dallas Radio Network and hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our great free content. Now it's time for Today in FC Dallas history. Today's history takes us all the way back to 1998, when the then Dallas Burn took on the Columbus Crew in front of just over 15,000 people. That game happened at Ohio Stadium, the home stadium for the Ohio State football team. 1998 was the last year Columbus played at the legendary Horseshoe. they'd moved to MLS's first ever soccer-specific stadium in 1999. Dave Durr's Burn squad took the win that day 2-1 over Tom Fitzgerald's crew. Mickey Trotman started the scoring in the 10th minute for Dallas before Todd Yeagley equalized just before halftime for Columbus. It was Jorge Rodriguez who saved the Burns bacon in the 85th minute, thanks to assist from Jason Kreis and Ted Eck. Our Remember Some Guy fact for today focuses on a well-known name to Dallas supporters, Burn legendary keeper and radio network contributor Mark Dodd. Dodd got the start and the win that night, one of 24 starts and 11 wins for him in that 1998 campaign. But Dodd gets the nod here not because of his goal prevention, but his goal creation. Dodd is credited with the assist on Trotman's opening goal in the 10th minute. Why is that significant, you ask? Because it was the only assist Dodd would ever log in his 4-year, 92-game Major League Soccer career. When we return on the FC Dallas pregame show, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis join me to help break down tonight's lineup and tactics. This is FC Dallas Soccer presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
This is Logan Farrington, striker for FC Dallas. Behind every goal, there's a team you don't always see. The ones keeping everything running, secure, connected, ready. That's General Informatics. From cybersecurity to smarter IT solutions, General Informatics powers FC Dallas with advanced technology support so we can stay focused on the game. General Informatics. Complex IT made simple.
Welcome back to the FC Dallas pregame show presented by Toyota here on the FC Dallas Radio Network. We've got about 20 minutes until kickoff from Snapdragon Stadium. So let's go ahead and get you the starting lineups for tonight's matchup. And those starting lineups this evening are brought to you by Advocare. We'll start with home side San Diego FC and second-year manager Mike Givares. It's CJ Dos Santos in net for San Diego, Oscar Verhoeven, Christopher McVeigh, Manu Dua, and Karen Sargent across the back line for the Chrome and Azul. Yepes Fereskov, Oni Valakari, and Alejandro Alvarado Jr., who's getting his first start of the season in the midfield for San Diego. And then Andres Dreyer, the 2026 MLS All-Star, is alongside Alex Mighton and leading scorer Marcus Invarksen for the Chrome and Azul this evening. And now let's go ahead and get you the starting lineup for FC Dallas and then second-year manager Eric Quill.
Daniel, goalkeeper, Brazil.
Shaq Moore, right back, Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Osaze Origide, center back, Netherlands, Nijmegen.
Sebastian Ibiaga, center back, Duke University.
Nolan Norris, midfielder, Fort Worth, Texas.
Ran Binyamin, midfielder, Israel.
Christian Capes, midfielder, Houston, Texas.
Kaique, midfield, Brasil.
Patrickson, mediocampista, Ecuador.
Joaquín Valiente, mediocampista, Uruguay.
Petar Musa, forward, from Zagreb, Croatia.
And the subs tonight for Dallas: Lalas Abubakar, Santi Moreno, Anderson Julio, Herman Johansson, Logan Farrington, Caleb Swan, Sam Sarver, Jonathan Sirois, and Bernard Kamungo. And now let's bring in the voices of tonight's contest. It's Ryan Figert, it's Steve Davis, and Ryan, we speculated on both the post-game show and on the build-up that Dallas would rotate some. We just didn't quite know how much. And it didn't really end up being as much as we thought. Obviously, they pulled out Logan Farrington and Santi Moreno. And then comes players like Ron Benjamin, Sebastian Ibiaga, and Herman Johansson also goes out. So, and of course, the big news, though, Petar Musa back in after scoring a goal on Wednesday.
Yeah, and it was so exciting to see him back in the lineup from the World Cup. But not only that, I think we've seen at times, maybe one of the only knocks you can put against Petar Musa and a Dallas kid is that he's been a little bit slow when he's come back from layoffs and his time out of the team. Now, obviously, he was training at a higher intensity than anybody over the World Cup break because he was with Croatia competing at the highest level of the game. But for him to come back in and look not only like he didn't miss a beat, but maybe like he's even taken another small step forward in terms of just being precise with every action, immaculate first touch, finding teammates, and then obviously finding the go-ahead goal late in that game. So great to see him back in the lineup, and the more Moose, the better for FC Dallas, and that's probably the most obvious statement you can make.
And Steve, talking a little bit about Musa, we've seen, we talked a lot about the World Cup effect on players, kind of in the negative though, coming down from the intensity, all the travel. But for a guy like Musa, who had, a pretty good World Cup, all things considered, scoring against England, kind of elevating himself on the national stage, you wonder if coming in and playing again with his MLS side could maybe be a positive because it could kind of bring him up and raise the intensity level that he brings to the club.
Well, clearly something worked because everything Ryan said, I echo 100%. Maybe it was the way it unfolded for him. He started initially, and then he got to be sort of a forgotten man around the Croatian team, and maybe he felt like, he had something to prove early, so he got himself into a spot where he could play for the Croatian team. But then when he got to Croatia, he played a little bit, and then he didn't play. So maybe he felt like he had something to prove coming back. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, whatever sauce he had going there, let's keep feeding it to him.
And just a reminder, 6 goals to the record for Petar Musa. He tied it last year, but now he has around 20 games or so to get to 19. I think he'll probably get there maybe sometime by late August at this rate. But Ryan's going to be Patrickson deputizing next to Petar Musa, and we weren't sure exactly what Eric Quill was going to go with because he had some options, someone like Logan Farrington, someone like Sam Sarver, Santi Moreno, who played a lot the other night. But it ends up being Patrickson, who had kind of one of those Patrickson games. He was a little bit quiet, but if you look at the numbers, they were there, and then he pops up with a goal at the end of the first half.
Yeah, I think, it's so interesting to watch Patrickson Delgado week to week because, he's not consistent at all, right? He can give you such high moments like he did with the goal, to open the scoring in Portland. And then he can switch off at times and be loose with his first touch and give the ball away too often. But I think actually it was, not really a Patrickson game in Portland. It was a truly consistent game for as long as he was on the field because he stayed, attentive to his defensive duties, which is hugely important. And we saw that in spades from Joaquin Valiente on the right side as Patrickson played on the left. Both, guys that are, maybe more traditionally central players, but playing out wide and sticking to the defensive duty going forward as well as coming back. So I think all in all, it was a really good performance from him and one that he can build on, and I'm not surprised to see him back in the 11.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do with this sort of new position. He's played as a 10 or underneath striker before. What it does is it gives him just a little bit less of a defensive responsibility, and I think that's where he can get nicked a little bit because he's maybe not as quick to get back into defensive position. But if you don't have as many defensive positions to get back into, then it's a little bit better for him.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about, maybe we see Musa and Logan together to start this game or, the different lineup options that Eric Quill had. But if we think back to the previous game, the 3-3 draw back in the first part of the season in March with San Diego, he went with a lineup that on paper had very few natural attacking players in it. It had Kaique, playing as a number 10 because they wanted to go and be on the front foot and press and force turnovers, and that was a clear route to goal. And we know San Diego's a team that dominates possession. They like to play out of the back. They like to take risks. And so I think adding Patrickson in there, who's a physical player who wins his duels, to spearhead the formation alongside Petar Musa makes sense to me because now you've got Ron Benjamin, who's another tireless runner on the left, Joaquin Valiente, who that's probably his biggest strength, right? His ability, his work rate, and his ability to be defensive from an attacking position. So you've got a lot of legs in that front four to potentially put San Diego under pressure high up the field.
And I think as you even look at it, Steve, as we get into the late games, that 60-plus area, you can go to any combination of Moreno, Julio, Farrington, and Sarver. We know the latter two have a lot of chemistry. We saw them start against Orlando in the mid-season I don't know what you want to call it, friendly right before we restarted, and they looked very lively and very good. And we've also seen that pairing succeed in the regular season. it's a kind of an abundance of riches and different kinds of riches for Eric Quill when it comes to his attacking front.
Yeah, for sure. What I think they might do is just go with a little bit more pace late in the game because, for one of the things that I don't feel like San Diego has in abundance is speed in the midfield and maybe speed along the back line. So I could definitely see a Sam Sarver coming in late. I think we're going to see Logan at some point, and he's certainly not as fast as Sam, but he can move a little bit. So I that's the way I sort of see them going toward the end of the match.
And Ryan, you've already brought up the midfield changes here. Ron Benjamin on the left, Joaquin Valiente on the right. And, man, I want to focus on Ron a little bit because we saw Joaquin play before he was subbed off in the Portland draw. Ron has just kind of become one of those guys that when we first saw him, we didn't really know what to expect. And now whether it's left midfielder or even at one point left back, the guy just goes out there, he runs hard, he plays hard, and usually good things tend to happen.
Yeah, I think, he had played a majority of his career so far in Israel in the middle of the field. And so when we saw the tape on him coming in, that's where we expected him to play. But he's done his best work in the wide positions. In this formation, the 4-4-2, the way they play it, it's interesting because, there are natural winger options in this team, somebody like a Bernard Kamungo or a Sam Sarver, but they're turning more towards these natural central midfielders, and they're playing wide. It's not like they're playing center midfielders out wide and they're coming inside and they're trying to overload the middle of the field. They're just relying on these guys to use their abilities in a different way, and Ron Benjamin has found his way into the team because of his work rate. We know that's something that's so important to Eric Quill, but he's also found the killer pass at times too, and I've liked what I've seen from him. Combining with Nolan Norris when he goes on the overlap, they seem to have a good understanding. And I think he's got a really good weight of pass in the final third. And when those opportunities arise, when the ball turns over in San Diego's own third, if the ball pops to him, I trust him to make that pass to find Musa or to find a teammate to finish.
And by the way, how could I leave Bernard Kamungo out when I talk about bringing pace in late in the match? Because we saw what he did last time against San Diego as he comes in off the bench, creates a penalty kick as he gets going down the left side. And then later he has this mazy dribble that ends up at a goal for Petr Musa. But it was Bernie that created that goal with a really one of his maybe his best dribbling run I've seen in an FC Dallas shirt. So I shouldn't have left him out.
Well, yeah, and talking about late game options too, with both Johansson and Kamungo available on the bench, you've got the ability to switch back to that wing back, the 5 at the back formation. They did it in Portland where they bring Sebastian Ibiaga in late, trying to see the game out. So I think Eric Quill really feels like he's got 2 formations that he can go to, and he's got guys on the bench that could help him make that change if it's needed at some point in this game.
And I think it's going to be because you look at Ka'ike, Kappas, and Valiente, they all 3 played extensive minutes in Portland. Specifically, those 2 midfielders really played a lot, and Ka'ike took a couple of weird hits that inhibited him at times, so I wouldn't be surprised. This also could be, if they have to bring off a midfielder, this could be a Caleb Swan game as well, who Eric Quill has been very vocal and positive about. Looking at that defensive group, Steve, something we didn't talk about on the postgame show just because we kind of ran out of time is kind of a wrinkle we saw with Osaze Urguide specifically. And I noticed it at first during that Orlando friendly, and it's kept happening in the Portland game where he's starting to 2 or 3 times a game really maraud up the field, where he ends up in the attacking third. At one point, he was the furthest man forward for Dallas. And I don't know if we have enough data to necessarily do enough with this yet, but this is a very interesting choice that's clearly not an accident since they've been doing it repetitively now.
No, I feel like we saw Osaze do some of that before. He picks his spots a little bit, but there were definitely times before when I looked at Osaze Urguide and I'm saying to myself, all right, that's enough, get back. Okay, that's enough, get back. So he's done some of that before.
Well, it definitely must probably confuses Portland because they didn't really know what to do with it when he got up there.
But that's what makes it effective when a center back does that, because you don't really know how to account for it.
I'm trying to remember. It led directly to a goal in the early part of the season, whether it was the Houston game at home or the Toronto game at home, where he just continued his run and sort of the one-man wrecking crew and ends up falling to somebody else to finish. Maybe that's not – you don't want him taking the shot, but if he can get up there and create the chaos once or twice a game, I think it's a good tool to have.
And you can make the argument it's no different than sending someone like Shaq forward because you're still going to end up with 3 at the back, and all 3 guys that are left back, in this case it'd be Ibiaga, Moore, and Norris, can play center back.
Yeah, but you're right. It's not really a profile that you expect out of a center back. So your point is well made.
So in this case, as we look a little bit about San Diego, and they're going to bring some challenging matchups for FC Dallas, and the one that that I think is the biggest one, is going to be on their right and Dallas' left. It's Andres Dreyer versus Nolan Norris tonight. Dreyer is the all-star for San Diego, and he is one of the critical pieces, you could argue, between him and Varkson, the most important offensive player they have. But this is going to be a big test for Nolan Norris. We've said that before. He's faced off with some big wingers, some pacey wingers. Well, tonight he's going up against one of the biggest, most impactful wingers in MLS, Steve. I wonder, how does Nolan Norris shut down a guy like that, or can he only just contain him and hope for the best?
No, look, Andres Dreyer, I think he's a terrific player. I mean, he had a legitimate shout last year for for league MVP. It is going to be one of the big matchups, and is he playing a little bit more on the inside like I expect him to? Does he take up a little wider positions and try to get Nolan Norris out there a little bit isolated? Although that's not really his game. His game is more about running the transition and also being patient with the ball, and then looking for and creating the gap, or looking for the gaps and playing into them. So. He's not just an assist guy either as a winger. He's definitely a goal scorer. He's got 54 goal contributions for San Diego in 50 games, and man, that's production.
And Ryan, one of the other issues, we've talked a little bit about the midfield already, but San Diego's midfield, specifically Oni Valakari and Yepes Verskov, those are two really good players in those spots, and they're playing with a midfield three with Alejandro Alvarado dropping in as well, and kind of that triangle look that they bring. But Dallas is going to be playing with Kappas and Kaique, centrally. We've seen Dallas at times under Eric Quill have trouble when they have less bodies in the midfield. I'm curious, how do you think, can Dallas contain this? And if not, what adjustment might they have to make?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, I agree that these are high-quality midfielders for San Diego, but particularly Ani Valakari has given Dallas so many problems in such a short amount of time. I mean, 3 games between these two teams. He's got 3 goals and 2 assists. He's been on the score sheet in some way in all 3 games, so it seems like he ups his game against his father's former team. Of course,
Daddy
his father,
issue.
Simo Valakari, played for the Dallas Burn and FC Dallas back in the early 2000s. So maybe there's something extra special for him there. Maybe he felt like he got overlooked by FC Dallas at some point in his career or something. I don't know, but he brings an extra edge to this game, and he's one to look out for because his style of play is tough to track. He makes late runs out of midfield, and particularly when you're talking about how San Diego has a 3 in there compared to Dallas having a 2, he could be a free runner that they have to always be aware of.
I did not expect the phrase daddy issues to appear up on the FC Dallas pregame show today, but that's why you have to tune in, because you never know quite what to expect. Before we get to tonight's keys to the match, Ryan, San Diego's had a very unique goalkeeping situation. Their incumbent starter, CJ Dos Santos, had a really unfortunate injury that forced him out. He returned last week in their matchup against Colorado, but for the most part, it's been Duran Ferry, who's 19 years old. He's handled 13 games and 12 starts. Dos Santos has looked a little uneasy when he has played pre-injury this year, and even coming back last week against Colorado. This feels like a place where if Dallas is going to try and maybe snag a couple goals, they're going to need to put some shots on target and really see if Dos Santos is up to the challenge.
And the fun fact about CJ Dos Santos is that he was the backup behind Vozinha for Cape Verde at the World Cup. He made a late switch to represent Cape Verde, and he was with their squad. Didn't play at the World Cup. Obviously, Vozinha took all the headlines and goal for the African side. But, yeah, it's one where he reached really high heights in his first season as a starter last year, CJ Dos Santos. And the facial injury just really seems to have bothered his game. And you can understand how, a position that's so based on your vision and your reactions, wearing a face mask is going to be really disruptive. And he just hasn't reached, those heights. And that's not all of his game. A large part of his game is playing out of the back, and that's why they brought him in as a number 1, as a young goalkeeper last year, as they felt like he could be the one to sort of execute the way they wanted to play. But you're right that they've relied on Ferry more this year, and they've got, just like FC Dallas, I think they have a few starting-level goalkeepers to pick from. Today it's Dos Santos in net.
Well, before we get to kickoff here, we need to get our keys to the match. Those are brought to us by Toyota, and as they always are, they're brought to us also by Steve Davis.
I appreciate that, Sam. Key number 1 is you got to be patient in the press tonight. Dallas did press high and hard when these teams met back in March. And San Diego will cough up possession on you a couple of times, but Dallas can't be rash about it. They've got to pick their spots, and when they do press, they have to be organized. They have to be coordinated. Otherwise, San Diego gets in behind you. They find the gaps. So Dallas just has to be patient, pick their spots, and be clever about when to press. Number 2 is they just have to beat that first line of pressure. San Diego is also going to press. So if Dallas can beat that initial line of confrontation, they can find space in behind that line between the forward line of confrontation and the back line to get those defenders running backwards and attack that, and that's where Dallas butters its bread anyway in the transition. So but it's all about connecting that first pass out to get you out of pressure. And then number 3 is just being physical, because San Diego does prefer just a little bit more of a technical approach. So if you can make, the players like particularly Vartson and Dreyer, if you can make them a little uncomfortable, push them out of positions where they are comfortable, you got a better chance of success. And those are your keys, presented by Toyota.
Thank you, Steve Davis. That is going to do it for today's pregame show. When we return, it'll be Ryan and Steve getting you ready for kickoff out at Snapdragon Stadium. It's FC Dallas. It's San Diego FC. It is MLS after twilight tonight for the Burn. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now. We're kicking things off by kicking up mud. Jump in, campers. We're going off-roading in a 4Runner. Next, we're heading to the hot springs in a RAV4. And finally, park your Tundras and Tacomas around the campfire, because we're roasting marshmallows. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
The West Coast road trip continues tonight for FC Dallas in sunny San Diego as Eric Quill's side looks to continue their fine road form into leg 4 of this 9-game stretch away from home. Snapdragon Stadium is the venue tonight, and it was the spot in which Dallas suffered their biggest defeat in 2025, a 5-0 loss back in May. And it's two different teams entirely as they face off tonight in San Diego. It's FC Dallas, who turned the season around late into 2025 and have carried that over into 2026. And it's San Diego, who have failed to reach the heights of a fantastic inaugural campaign. They sit down in the bottom of the Western Conference with just 1 win in 14 games coming into tonight. Ryan Figert on the call alongside Steve Davis. And Steve, that record speaks for San Diego so far this season, but it also means they'll be looking for a get-right game tonight against FC Dallas, who they beat so handedly here last season.
Yeah, it's funny because they spent all year last year, setting records and reaching the Western Finals and sort of impressing us all with their play style, and then they've spent all of this year looking for that, looking for that same thing, and they just haven't been able to replicate it, but as you said, they do have a little bit of a history, a short history of success against FC Dallas at Snapdragon.
And the games between these two teams have always produced goals. There's been 5 or more goals in all 3 previous matchups. And just for that further context, The 3-3 draw back in Frisco on March 14th between these two teams, in which Petar Musa had a hat trick, that started this run of 14 games in which San Diego's only win was a 5-0 win over a team from Texas. It was against Austin on May 13th.
I still feel like Eric Quill was sort of figuring out what this year's version was all about, because back then they were still using 3 or 5 in the back. There was a couple of penalty kicks in that one. Players. There was that one little weird gap that the other teams kept finding over on Dallas's defensive right side. So I feel like Eric Quill was sort of figuring out that he didn't like that version of his team and that shape. Then it wasn't long after that they went to the 4-4-2, and they've been flying since.
FC Dallas in their light gray kits with red accents, and they'll move from right to left from our broadcast vantage point in this first half. San Diego in the navy with silver and orange accents will move from left to right. Our referee tonight is Victor Rivas. Refereeing crew in neon green tops with black shorts. They'll be at the controls as it'll be FC Dallas's kickoff to get things going. In just a moment here, Petar Musa standing over the ball as he's restored to the starting 11 today, back from the World Cup and immediately back in the goals in Portland. Looking to get back in the win column in San Diego today. Dallas facing off with the newest franchise in Major League Soccer for the 4th time, looking for their first win over the Chrome and Azul. CJ Dos Santos, the goalkeeper for San Diego, in all green with a face mask to contend with after a facial injury. He's down to our left. Daniel in goal for his second start with FC Dallas is down to our right as the whistle sounds, and we are underway at Snapdragon Stadium. Dallas dropping it all the way back to Daniel, who launches it long up towards the Dallas left. Benjamin wins the header, knocks it down for Patrickson Delgado, who's playing off the striker today. He goes down. Referee weighs him to his feet. Dallas immediately putting the pressure high up the field as it's chased back to the byline. San Diego's clearance breaks for Delgado. And now straight up in the air, it's a contested ball. Delgado settles it, finds Musa at the top of the box. Set back now for a chance, maybe Valiente at the top of the D. He passes 5 yards to his left for Kappas in the left center channel. And now here comes Nolan Norris on the overlap from left back. Back into Kappas in the left center channel. He scoops the ball up over the top towards Musa, headed away by Dua for San Diego. And they work it out towards the near side, but it's given away immediately to Nolan Norris at the halfway line.
An eventful first 50 seconds so far.
Kappas now cut on it near the halfway line, and Ingvartsen drives forward for San Diego in the right center channel. Their attack dropped wide for Anders Dreyer. Ball towards the top of the box is cleared away by Ibiaga. As now we've played a minute, and there's been plenty of soccer in that opening minute.
Kappas giving up a ball in midfield. He can't do that much tonight.
Sverkov from the center circle, playing it forward. Now Dreyer receiving it off the striker, gets it wide to Verhoeven, just outside the 18 on the near side, the right back for San Diego. Combining with Alvarado, who's the one change for Mikey Varas. Still combining in a triangle on this near side San Diego before Verhoeven turns and plays it back to the center back McVeigh near the halfway line. Verhoeven playing it forward, and he finds the feet of Valakari, now wide with Dreyer. Quick combination of passes, strong tackle from Uragide. Got a piece of the ball, and then it's another coming together between Alvarado, and it breaks for Anders Dreyer into the 18. Cutback ball is defended by Ibiaga behind for a corner.
Well, I sure thought Ron Benjamin got fouled before, right in the middle of the melee in there, and it has been a frenetic opening 2 minutes.
So it'll be a corner kick from San Diego from the near side. It was Alvarado who just absolutely body checked Ron Benjamin. Not sure how the referee didn't spot a foul on that occasion, but it'll be an in-swinger off the left foot of Anders Dreyer. San Diego putting players either side of Daniel, and the referee's going to have a conversation. It's Alvarado again, who's trying to impede the goalkeeper. Mighton offering a short option. Dreyer now stepping back and prepares to address this one into a crowded 6-yard box. It's whipped into the near post, volleyed away by Musa, and it's flicked off of Mighton and out for a Dallas throw, which they'll look to take quickly from the near side. Kaik forward to Musa, who sets it back for Ron Benjamin. Back in the starting 11 after he played multiple positions for Eric Quill in the first part of the season. Dallas switches it along the back line to Shackmore, who's playing right back today. It's stabbed forward up towards the halfway line, contested there. Benjamin with his shoulder into the back of Sverkov, and this time he's whistled for a foul.
You know, the thing I remember about the game in March, the other thing is that when Sverkov came in, he just changed the game because he's so good about controlling tempo in there.
Yeah, at that time, San Diego was in the middle of their CONCACAF Champions Cup run, in which They beat Pumas and even picked up a first leg win over Toluca, but ultimately bowed out down in Mexico against Toluca Stadium, where Dallas will have to go in a few weeks now in Leagues Cup. That's wide on the left side of the San Diego attack. A cross repelled by Shaq Moore, spinning out towards the sideline. And it will be a throw-in for San Diego near the corner flag on the far side. Alex Mighton, the left winger, takes it backwards up the sideline to Sverkov. Sverkov, who was an all-star last year, he frequently leads the league in passes completed as he dictates the tempo of the game. He tries to scoop one in behind up to San Diego left. Shaq Moore able to intercept and play it forward. Kappas caught on it, and eventually it cannons off of Kappas out for another San Diego throw. Taken backwards to the halfway line. Dua under pressure from Patrickson turns back upfield and finds Alvarado. Manu Dua, who was the #1 overall pick for San Diego in 2025. They swing along the back line to Anders Dreyer, who lifts it forward towards the front line, headed away by Uragide. Recovered by Dreyer near halfway. He'll move it along the back line through McVeigh to Dua once again. 21-year-old who was originally a midfielder, and he played in midfield against Dallas in that first matchup between these two teams, and then they figured out he might be a potential top-quality center back, and it's worked out for him since. Out to the left wing for San Diego. Mighton receives it up against Shaq Moore. Just on the edge of the attacking third. He plays it backwards in the left center channel for Sverkov. Now worked once again wide for Kieran Sargent, the left back. At the far corner of the 18, Mighton tries to stab it in field. It's repelled by Uragide, but possession stays with San Diego here in the 6th minute. It's deflected out of play, and they'll have another throw-in on the far side, taken quickly. Back to Sverkov. No pressure on Yepi Sverkov here as he walks it forward. Now plays wide to Kieran Sargent on the left side for San Diego. Back to Sverkov once again. And Valicari now combining as they move backwards, still in the attacking half. Working it wide once again to Sargent, who's got some space ahead of him. Cuts back now. Finds Alvarado in midfield. Dallas doing a lot of defending after that opening minute. Now from the far corner of the 18, Kaique winning it back well from Alex Mighton. And Valiente is looking for a way out of pressure. Pops up in the air, and San Diego win it back. Combining short passes in the left wing in the final third. Now it finds Dreyer into the area for Ingvartsen. Tackled away by Ibiaga, rolled forward by Kappas to Patrickson. And short passes now for Dallas on the edge of the defensive third, and it's given away. Sverkov wins it back now into the area. Shot from the far side of the 18 by Valicari is covered up by Daniel. First save of the game for the Dallas goalkeeper.
Yeah, Dallas defending really low so early, and a couple of times they're exactly what we talked about, Ryan. They can't connect that first pass out of the back, and they've just given it away again.
Looking for Musa that time, he was unable to hold it, and now Valicari has it in the left center channel. Turns and plays it back to the halfway line. They'll swing it through the center circle. Sverkov now turns, has his head up, rolls it ahead to Dreyer, who's drifting all the way into the middle and even across to the left side early in these opening 7 minutes. Here's Valicari, finds Dreyer, 5 yards outside the box. Quick combination with Ingvartsen, bouncing ball at the edge of the 18. Headed away now by Ibiaga, breaks back for Dreyer, whose shot is caught on the volley by Daniel.
It was Sverkov that made the initial entry ball, and I feel like he's already had 20 completed passes. I mean, it's only 7 minutes, but San Diego absolutely dominant in possession right now.
Nolan Norris making his way up the near sideline, eventually running into Alvarado, and it'll be a throw for Dallas right in front of Mikey Varas, who's in his 2nd year as head coach of San Diego FC, who spent time as an assistant at FC Dallas previously.
Very casual look for Mikey there with the T-shirt and sort of a weird surfer thing on the back.
There, Quill is exactly as you could imagine him. Red hat, black polo. This is his usual road attire. It's all the way back to Dos Santos in the 18-yard box on the San Diego end.
I wonder if that's a throwback. There was once a California surf or San Diego surf.
Dallas forcing a turnover here, and it's breaking for Petter Musa now at the top of the 18. He finds Patrickson inside the D. Low shot is just wide of the near post. And that's a route to goals for Dallas from a very similar spot to where Patrickson hit the net in first half stoppage time on Wednesday. He just pulled that one wide.
Yeah, he likes that spot, and whereas he tried for the right corner the other day and found it. That time he tried for the worm burner, the low cross, low shot on the grass at the left post, but just got a little bit wide.
It was Nolan Norris who made the intervention high up the field. As Dallas puts the pressure on, Dos Santos rolls it to McVeigh on the near side of the 18. He plays it forward. It's intercepted at the halfway line by Uriguide. And Dallas has possession near the halfway line on the near side with Christian Kappas. Has time on the ball with his head up, looking for options. Rolled to the left wing for Benjamin, who pokes it out off of Dreyer for a Dallas throw. Such an interesting tactical battle today. Dallas wanting to press in moments. San Diego always looking to press and control possession, but sometimes at risk to their own goal, as the whistle's gone, I believe, for a handball against Dallas, or maybe it hit the referee. We'll see how we restart play here. Looks like we'll redo the throw-in. Okay, so it's Nolan Norris again, from just in front of Eric Quill. Ron Benjamin fighting for it, up against two defenders there. And it breaks for Norris, who pokes it forward. Patrickson closing down McVeigh, who plays it back to his goalkeeper to launch long. Dos Santos up to the halfway line. Bouncing ball. Ibiaga heads it up in the air. Mighton retrieves it for San Diego. Up against Kaique, who commits the foul right on the halfway line.
Ryan, that's 2 or 3 times already that Dallas has sort of got stuck on that left side. You know, Benjamin and Nolan Norris haven't played together a lot over there, so that's just something to watch for.
San Diego restart play, short, rolling it across the halfway line. Now McVeigh drives forward in the right center channel. Alvarado now making his way up the right wing, finds Dreyer infield. Dreyer from 5 yards outside the box. Short pass to the top of the 18. Ingvartsen looking to turn, finds Dreyer, whose pass is intercepted by Kappas. Kappas now looking for a way out, finds the pass forward to Valiente, who's come central here, but he can't find his way through bodies. And now it's up to Alex Mighton looking for the 1-2 with Dreyer, intercepted by Uriguide. And Uriguide now dribbling through two defenders, goes down, and he's got a free kick for Dallas in the middle of their own half. And I don't think you could picture a game in which where the ball is in any given moment is so instrumental in how the game is being played. When it's low, deep in Dallas's half, they feel like they're under all kinds of pressure. When it's deep in San Diego's half, even when San Diego has the ball, it feels like Dallas has the advantage. As we restart, a short pass to Nolan Norris on the Dallas left. He now lifts this ball in behind up towards Musa. Bouncing ball at the top of the box goes through for Dos Santos. There's a little coming together. Musa looking towards the referee as he was bumped away from it, but not enough for a foul.
Good ball from Nolan Norris. Aimed up there for the big guy.
All the way back once again to Dos Santos inside the 6. Combines with Sverkov at the top of the box, who now switches the play out to the San Diego left, and there's space for Sargent to bring it forward on the dribble, past the halfway line. And now he cuts back and finds Valicari. Possession at the halfway line for the home side. Inside the center circle, Sverkov whips a pass forward, and now Dreyer in the central area has it. Uriguide goes to ground. He nearly comes away with it. Instead, it breaks for Ibiaga, who finds Kaique. No way out for Kaique, but he wins a foul. And immediately when San Diego loses possession, they throw just about everybody at it to try and win it back high up the field, and that's leading to these sort of chaotic moments in between possession for either team.
Yep, it's that really quick, aggressive counter press, and Dallas just has to be a little bit better about finding that first connection. Once you connect that first pass cleanly, then you can usually get out.
So Daniel will take the free kick for Dallas. 5 yards outside the 18. Everybody out towards the right side for Dallas as it's lifted up towards Musa. Header won, though, by Dua. Back to the halfway line. Uriguide wins it, heads it forward to Kaique, who plays it back. And it's all the way now to Daniel. Daniel now lifts it out to the right wing once again. Over everybody's head in the Dallas uniform. Valiente will give chase as Sargent pokes it back to the goalkeeper. Now wide of the San Diego 18-yard box, it's McVeigh. Verhoeven playing it up the near sideline. Norris able to get a piece of it there ahead of Ingvartsen. And Dallas has possession back.
Yeah, that's Nolan Norris being physical and against Ingvartsen, and that's exactly what we were talking about. Be physical against them, and you've got a better chance.
And Norris just on the edge of the attacking third, wide on the near side, finds Kappas in the left center channel. of Musa, who wanted it to his feet that time. And the second ball does break for the Moose. Wide on the Dallas left. Finds Benjamin. Slipped ball in behind for Patrickson. Dos Santos coming out off his line. He'll cover it up. That was a nearly moment there in the attacking third for Dallas. Their second decent look, and both have gone Delgado's way.
Yeah, a nearly moment created by some really technical work over on the sideline by Petar Musa. Sort of, he's got two guys. He's bracketed on either side. And he finds a way to slip a ball in behind him.
Possession along the back line for San Diego as they walk it up towards the halfway line. Dallas opting not to press high on that occasion. They sit at the halfway line waiting for the ball to advance as Valakari turns and plays it back once again. Dallas in the bottom 5 in average possession in Major League Soccer. San Diego with the most possession per game on average, just around 60%. And that'll be even more dramatic, you'd think, today with the styles clashing. Possession with Manu Dua in the middle of the defensive half for San Diego. Rolled to his right for center back partner McVeigh, who returns it to Sverkov. It feels like it's always Sverkov's ball. He just loans it to somebody else at any given moment, and then he'll be back on it shortly.
And Delgado and Petar Musa are trying to be cognizant of him and block the passing lane into him, but he's just active at the right moments, and he knows when to break free, and San Diego knows how to find him.
He's once again splitting the center backs here from just shy of the center circle. He rolls it along the ground out to the halfway line on the San Diego right. Ball in behind for Ingvartsen. 1v1 now at the top of the box with Ibiaga. Ingvartsen going to his right, losing his balance. Keeps it going. Here's a shot from close range. Saved by Daniel. Out to the other side where it breaks for Valiente near the corner flag. He drops it off for Shaq Moore, but Daniel is down, and he's feeling worse for wear after making that save. Holding his head now. Down inside the 6.
I actually think he grabbed it like maybe at his back right hamstring.
Just his second start for his new club. He is holding the back of his right leg, and he's pounding the ground. Visible agony on his face.
Well, first of all, Dallas got split way too easily there. Asazi Urquide came off the back line, and they got in behind him. But what happened is, as the shot comes in from close range, Daniel gets his right leg out there to block it. He does get the block, but as he does, looks like he just reaches too far with that right leg, and he's in trouble here.
It's a fantastic save, but it may be his last save of the game. Jonathan Sirwa is the backup today for FC Dallas. Michael Collodi not in the squad. He was the starter for the first 13 games of the season. Sirwa played the last 2 before the World Cup break, and he's warming up right now, the Canadian. Picked up a couple of wins, did save a penalty in one of those games as well, but clearly the club wanted to go and get an upgrade in goal, and that was Daniel, who showed his quality with this save, but it may have cost him. He's still down, and they are stretching out his right hamstring, but the look on his face tells me I don't think he's going to play any further part.
Well, I'll tell you what, whoever's in goal, Dallas's back line in the midfield, their lines are compact, but there's not a lot of space between those two lines of 4. But right now, San Diego knows exactly where to find the gaps, and they're playing right through that first line. And it's Ingvartsen and Dreyer hasn't had as much to say over on the left side, but it's Sverskov and Valakari that just keep finding those gaps on those entry balls.
Taking one more look at the replay, it's an outstretched right leg, which is what causes him the problems with the hamstring or the back of the leg muscle injury, but it actually came off his face. He made the save with his face, and it was goal bound from Valakari. And we mentioned in the pregame show, Valakari has been so lethal in games against FC Dallas. The stretcher's out, and Daniel looks over towards the stretcher and says, no, I'll help myself off the field here. But I don't think he's going to continue as Sirwa is quickly getting ready, getting the shin guards and the jersey on.
Well, the issue for Dallas here, one issue for Dallas, besides the fact that they may lose their starting goalkeeper, is that it's going to take one substitution opportunity away in a match that, they're on the road, second consecutive game. There wasn't a lot of time between those, the game on Wednesday, and they're probably going to need as many of those substitution windows as they can get, in addition to needing maybe all 5 subs, but now they're only going to have 4 field subs, it looks like, to work with.
Conversation's still going on, but Daniel covering his face makes his way off the field, and that's a big blow for the one major acquisition so far in the transfer window for Dallas, coming over from San Jose. And you hope it's not a long-term issue and that he can get back into the picture sooner rather than later. But Eric Quill described his goalkeeping situation as having 3 number ones, and, well, he's going to turn to the second man up, and that's Jonathan Sirois, who now enters the game.
Number 1, number 2?
The second number 1,
yes.
With the third number 1, Michael Collodi, waiting.
I mean, how big is that decision now? I'm sure it was a very tough call, too, whether to bring Sirois or Michael Collodi as the second goalkeeper. And here is Exhibit A as to why that can sometimes be a really critical decision.
And Daniel helped down the tunnel. Sirois into the game for his 3rd appearance for FC Dallas. First off the bench, an unusual situation for a goalkeeper. Here in the 20th minute of a scoreless game at Snapdragon Stadium. Both teams with a couple of good looks, but San Diego controlling a lot of where this game has been played, as we expect them to do. It's dropped into the hands of Sirois to restart play. He'll roll it out and launch it long.
And you wonder if during that little bit of a break, if Dallas maybe had a little conversation, tactical, about what they could do to slow San Diego down from some of those entry balls.
Norris wins it back from San Diego in the center circle, and Dallas in possession. It's wide with Ron Benjamin off the Dallas left. Looking for a switching ball, under hits it, and it breaks for Sverkov, who now goes the other way for San Diego. Out to Alex Mighton at the halfway line. He's dribbling out to the San Diego left. He's dispossessed by Shaq Moore, who was retreating there. And it's out for a San Diego throw, which they take backwards into their own half.
That kind of a needless giveaway a moment ago from Benjamin. Didn't really need to try to force that pass into the interior.
McVeigh now looking for a switch from the near side over to the top of the box on the far side. Shackamore winning the header deep in Dallas territory. And Kaique finds Valiente with a back heel. Valiente lifting it forward, puts it over the head of Delgado. And those connections for Dallas just really not materializing through 20 minutes. There's not been a consistent route to getting the ball forward.
Yeah, Delgado checking short, and Valiente thinking that he was maybe needing to play the ball over the top, so they just weren't on the same page.
San Diego near the halfway line with McVeigh. Into the midfield, Sverkov playing it backwards. And then move it back out to this near side. McVeigh has actually seen the red card 3 times this season, including once in the Champions Cup and twice in Major League Soccer. And he's part of the starting center back duo. Dua, the other one, has the ball here. And he rolls it forward through the left center channel up to the halfway line. Kieran Sargent turns and plays wide for Alex Mighton.
I mean, San Diego really working their left side offensively. Maybe they expected Herman Johansson to be over there. Thought that they could exploit him a little bit.
That's wide with Mighton. 1v1 with Shaq Moore. Valiente nearby to help as well. San Diego's in the Dallas defensive third. Mighton playing it backwards. And it's all the way back to the center circle now with McVeigh. McVeigh receives it back in the defensive half of the circle for San Diego. Dallas slowly stepping their line higher up the field. Now it's worked out wide by San Diego to Mighton. Shaq Moore a little bit late there, commits the foul. 10 yards into the Dallas half. Mighton, who's quick and can certainly beat his man on the dribble, even if he hasn't had much in product in his time in Major League Soccer. Scooped over the top, out to the left side. Valicari cuts the ball back to Dreyer inside the area. Low shot, blocked by Uragide. Breaks back for Dreyer, who rattles the crossbar. But the offside flag is up as it broke back to San Diego after that initial attempt.
Yeah, but again, it's just too gappy in there. It's there's no pressure on Sverskov. Maybe that's Valicari that provides the entry ball, and you can't give Dreyer 2 cracks at it like that. I know one of them ends up being offsides, but the first one, it comes at about 10 yards, just left of the goal. Just got to stop that supply line. They just keep finding and they're pretty simple balls into feet. They're not that complicated. They're just Dallas is just too gappy.
Sirois launching it long. Dallas unable to make it stick, and it looked like they committed the foul, but the referee plays advantage as San Diego has possession in their own half along the back line, out to the left side. Sargent's going to lift it forward, out to the left wing. Alex Mighton gives chase. Sirwa out off his line, nods it out of play for a throw. Well read that time by Sirwa. Can't be easy coming into a game cold, but he made a positive first impression there. Sargent from just into the Dallas half on the far sideline. Infield for Alvarado. It was an LA Galaxy Academy product that never broke through with the first team, and now he's playing in MLS not too far away from where he grew up. Verhoeven, like similar, came up with San Jose, another California Academy. Lifted out to Verhoeven, who makes his way forward up against Nolan Norris, who shields him away from it, and it's over the line for a goal kick. And if there's been one standout player in the first 25 minutes now of this game, Nolan Norris has looked up for this one.
Yeah, he dribbled himself into trouble one time on the sideline, but otherwise his defensive work has been exceptional, just as you said. Won't surprise you to know, 67% possession. Actually, it's 69 for San Diego.
Sirwa lines up the goal kick in the 25th minute. Everybody's shifted off to the Dallas left side as he launches it long. Nowhere near anybody in the light gray kit for Dallas, and it breaks back for San Diego. That it's been another avenue where they haven't quite found a way to keep possession. Verhoeven has it at the halfway line on the San Diego right. Plays it infield for Sverkov, who's got time and space, dribbling it forward. Switching the point of attack out to the left back, Sargent. Now wide on the left wing, Mighton will run at Shaq Moore. Wide to the 18-yard box, looking to get to the byline. Valiente helping defensively. It pokes up in the air. Breaks back for Sargent. Scooped ball into the area. Valicari had a foot raised there as Ibiaga puts it behind for a corner. And Ibiaga appealing for dangerous play there against the San Diego midfielder.
Yeah, I thought Valicari did have his foot up a little high.
But it'll be a corner kick for the home side from the far side. And Valicari will take it, looking for an outswinger off the left foot. He goes short instead, finding Sverkov wide to the 18 on the far side. They'll swing it back around through the back line. And a first-time ball from the near side. Dreyer puts it high up in the air. Sirwa comes, gets two hands to punch it clear. Coming together at the top of the box, and Dallas comes away with possession. Out to Petter Musa, who lifts it in behind, out to the near side. Delgado giving chase. Verhoeven has the head start, and he'll play it back to Dos Santos. And it just doesn't feel like a cohesive performance so far for Dallas. Even the moments, they had a couple early in the game where they forced turnovers in the press, but since then it's been a lot of defending for Eric Quill's side. Sverkov has it just outside the center circle in the Dallas half. Scooped ball forward out to the right side. Verhoeven's in behind. Verhoeven low cross in through the 6-yard box. Ibiaga puts it out the other way and does well not to concede the corner, but it'll be a throw-in instead from the far side.
I mean, this is one of those games where I feel like Eric Quill, if he gave his post-game news conference right now, he would say, I don't recognize the team out there because I'm not sure I recognize it.
And San Diego, a little bit of an overhit pass, runs out for a throw-in for Dallas near the corner flag on the far side.
Ryan, all that started a minute ago when Petter Musa was pressing, and it was only Petter Musa pressing, and that you absolutely can't do that.
Shaq Moore will take the throw up the far sideline towards Musa, bounces past him, and it breaks back San Diego's way. In the center circle, McVeigh combining short passes, working it out to the San Diego left. Dua finds now Sverkov just inside left, rolls it through the left center channel up to Valicari. It's away from Uriguide now into the area. Alex Mighton, low shot, is saved by Sirwa. And the Dallas center backs have been very busy, sometimes of their own accord in terms of mistakes, but a lot to deal with as the ball has just flowed through the Dallas midfield too easily.
That's about the third good chance San Diego has had, and Dallas has had the one shot from Delgado at 20 yards, and that's about it.
Kappas and Shaq Moore combining deep in Dallas territory out on the right side. And bounces last off of Kappas out for a San Diego throw. Sargent working it up the far sideline to Valicari, who turns upfield, rolls it into the middle. And Sverkov has it in the middle of the Dallas half. Passes to his left for Alvarado. Now Valicari once again in the left center channel, 10 yards outside the box. Finds Dreyer, who works it ahead to the top of the box. Valicari gets it wide for Mighton. Mighton now dribbling at Shackmore, look to go through the legs. Shackmore winning the ball back. Now needs an option to play out of pressure. He plays it short to Valiente, who hits a switching ball, but it's under hit. Fortunate break there. Verhoeven should have come away with it, but instead it breaks for Ron Benjamin, who drives forward on the dribble. Now lifts it out to the left side. Delgado's going to get there. Musa arriving inside the 18-yard box. Delgado checks it back for Nolan Norris, who will move it through the midfield. Kaique has it just outside the center circle. Dallas in the attacking half here. Out to the right side, Valiente. All the way wide with Shackmore. Hasn't had an opportunity really to get forward as the right back so far for Dallas. As Ibiaga has it on the halfway line, passing backwards into the Dallas half, swung along the back line to Norris, just shy of the halfway line. Up the sideline to Benjamin, who now hits a switching ball and gets plenty more behind this one. It's a good ball, breaks for Valiente. First time ball towards Musa's, intercepted by Dua. Pass back to the goalkeeper for San Diego. And now they work it through their 18-yard box. Giveaway by Sverkov to the left center channel. Patrickson finds Kaique in the middle. Out wide right, Shackmore advancing forward. Cuts inside with his first touch. Left-footed shot. Deflects up and over the goalkeeper, up and over the bar. And behind for a corner, but that one looked like it may just dip below the crossbar and break Dallas's way. Instead, they'll have a corner kick.
Well, and it's really the first time we've seen Shackmore up into the attacking zone. And you're right, it's an odd deflection, but it just about gives what would have been a classic against the run or play goal.
I think there was a window between Dos Santos' outstretched fingertips and underneath the crossbar, but it'll be Valiente from the far side looking for an in-swinger off the corner kick. Whipped in to the 6-yard box, heads go up, Sverkov nods it away to the top of the box. Kaique wins it back there under pressure from Mighton. Works it wide, back out to Valiente, the corner taker. Another left-footed ball bending in to the top of the 6, headed away, intended for Uragide. Dallas will win it back near the halfway line. Shackmore has it now in the center circle.
A moment ago, Shackmore getting forward is really critical because what Dallas is missing right now, one of the things they're missing is width in the final third.
Rolled through the middle of the field to Nolan Norris, who'd stayed forward. His touch couldn't find a teammate, and now he's out of position. It's a chance for Ingvartsen to drive forward, sets it out wide right for Dreyer. Wide to the 18 on the near side, Uragide closing him down. Dreyer passes up the near sideline backwards for Verhoeven. Possession along the back line in the Dallas half, but no threat at the moment for San Diego. Now they combine through the lines, and Dreyer slips it in behind for Ingvartsen. Ingvartsen shot saved by Sirois. Diving to his right, and it's behind for a corner. And that's a big save for the Canadian off the bench.
It was a big save, and it's just a simple diagonal run out of the center between the two center backs for Ingvartsen. And again, it's just too easy in there. It's Anders Dreyer that finds a gap right in that half space, plays the ball in, and takes a great save from Sirois.
Corner kick comes from the far side for San Diego. Dreyer standing over in the 33rd minute. There's a conversation first once again with Alvarado's impeding now a new Dallas goalkeeper. First time he did it, it was Daniel. Now it's Sirois, who will have to contend with the San Diego number 70 positioned right in front of him. Dreyer's service flighted towards the back post and over everybody's head. It bounces out towards the near sideline, retrieved by Verhoeven, who whips in a right-footed cross to the top of the 6. Heads go up, bounces through on the volley. Dreyer blocked by Kaique from the top of the box. And kept in play by the Pitbull on the far side, then knocked out off of Dreyer for a Dallas throw.
Dallas is just so low that even when they get possession and have a moment to look up, there's just not that many options to play into.
29 touches already in 33 minutes for Anders Dreyer in this game, and that's usually a recipe for success for Mikey Vara's side. It's Dallas with possession in their own defensive half, worked back to Sirois from the top of the 6-yard box. He plays it along the ground out to Nolan Norris on the Dallas left. Rolled forward for Valiente, who's come all the way across to try and stitch something together here for Dallas. Played forward up the left side. Benjamin now bringing it past the halfway line on the dribble. Cutting back onto his favored right foot and plays it in the midfield for Kappas. In the center circle, Kappas fires it out to this left side. Delgado receives it in the left center channel. He plays it wide for Valiente. Musa waiting inside the 18 as Dallas combines up the left side. Valiente with a heavy touch there, turns it over. Mighton goes down. Referee not interested. Possession breaks back for Dallas at the halfway line. Valiente again all the way across on the left side. Scoops the ball in behind up towards Musa. McVeigh wins the header out to the near side for Verhoeven. And Dallas goes hunting on the press. Possession all the way back in the 18-yard box of San Diego, but they switch the point of attack, and now Dua will bring it forward. Uncontested in the left center channel. Up to the center circle and Alvarado.
Now in the 35th minute, you start wondering, can Dallas get out of the half and regroup a little bit? Because honestly, they're pretty fortunate to still be at 0-0.
Into the left center channel for San Diego. Valicari turns, plays it wide for Sargent. Now back to Ani Valicari. Sverkov has it in the left center channel. Nobody putting pressure on him. Eventually, Valiente steps across. Now it's into the midfield once again for Alvarado, who turns and plays it back to Sverkov. Short passes combining about 25 yards from goal. Eventually, Urguide able to send it clear. Dallas win the second ball back in the middle of their own half. Kappas walking it forward towards the halfway line. Turns and plays it back into the middle for Kaique, who scoops the ball over the top looking for Musa. Over hits the pass, and it bounces through for Dos Santos. And Musa with some frustrated body language. He's seen very little of the ball so far in this game. Sverkov, the opposite fortune, he's pretty much been on the ball the entire game. Rolled out wide to the right side, and now he's got it back in the right center channel, middle of the Dallas half. Sverkov now on it with his head up, looking for options. Played wide to the near side for Verhoeven. Turns it back to Sverkov. And now all the way back to McVeigh near the halfway line. %70 of possession through 36 minutes for San Diego. And Udua in the center circle has possession.
I mean, Dallas is a 40 to 45% team, but when it gets around 30, that's not great.
Back to Sverkov, right center channel, 20 yards outside the box. It's poked forward, looking for the run of McVeigh, of Valicari, and it breaks Dallas's way. Benjamin's clearance breaks back for Sverkov, who's got it now. Walking it forward in the right center channel for San Diego. Played wide for Alvarado, and now back to McVeigh again.
Yeah, it's basically only Petar Musa forward, so as soon as Dallas gets the ball, if they just block that one lane into him, well, that's it. That's curtains.
Switched along the back line for San Diego. Sargent plays it into midfield for Sverkov, who turns. Finds Alvarado, now through the lines. Valicari combining with Dreyer. Set back for Valicari. Valicari's shot from distance is blocked easily by Kaique. Spins out for a San Diego throw.
If they count that as a shot, it'll be 8 for San Diego. Just 2 for FCD.
Painful one for Kaique, who's down, hunched over, holding his lower back where he took the contact.
Yeah, speaking of Kaique, the last Dallas possession, Kaike's got so many good tools in his belt as a young player, but one of the things he's going to have to develop is that final ball, because he likes to play it, but he's not that good at it right now, and so sometimes Dallas gives up possession cheaply as he tries to play that final ball.
Possession in the center circle for San Diego. Sverkov bringing it forward. Chipped ball out to the left wing, brought down by Sargent. It was a Houston Dynamo cast off in a trade earlier this season. Back out to Sargent, just outside the far corner of the 18. Pass into the area, deflected by Kaique, but breaks for Dreyer, who's got possession dribbling backwards and out to the left side. Back for Sverkov, who lifts it into the 18. Bouncing ball, Ibiaga well positioned. Is going to watch this one over the line for a goal kick.
I feel like Ibiaga's been good in his challenges tonight. It's just that the whole back line is just they really just had too much to do as San Diego players are operating really well in those half spaces.
If you're just joining us, Daniel exiting this game early with an injury, looked like some type of muscle injury on the right leg. So Sirois sets up this goal kick. And Dallas have used already one of their 5 available changes. It's launched long up towards Delgado, who wins the header up in the air and bounces towards Musa. Musa pokes it back to Delgado in a central position, 30 yards from goal. Left-footed ball back towards Musa in the area. Is cleared away by Dua. Arguide wins the header, but couldn't find a teammate, and now Sverkov lifts it out to the left wing. Mighton will give chase. Sirois out off his line, gets there first and plays it up the far sideline and spins into San Diego territory, but it's the home side who have possession back.
Second time Jonathan Sirois has come well out of his goal and really read a play well. Good aggressive goalkeeping.
Sverkov lifts it up towards Anders Dreyer near corner of the 18-yard box. Benjamin defending, does well to work it away from last year's newcomer of the year. And now he dribbles up the near sideline, but he's quickly closed down by Alvarado, who wins possession back for San Diego. Sverkov just outside the center circle. Has it uncontested here for the home side. Chipped ball in behind, looking for the run of Dreyer towards the byline. Norris has a beat on it and watches it over the line for a goal kick.
Benjamin a minute ago just dribbling himself right into trouble. I guess maybe that's unfair because, as I said a minute ago, it's the options of playing out just aren't they aren't many because Dallas is sitting so far back.
There's currently ongoing discussions between Eric Quill and Michel and Mark Briggs, 2 of his assistant coaches, on how to find solutions here. As it's launched long by Sirois, bounces out of play for a San Diego throw deep in their own half. It's moved along the back line inside the area. McVeigh has it at the top of the San Diego box. Plays it back to Dos Santos. Out to Dua, who's under some light pressure from Valiente. Played forward for Alvarado. Alvarado works it wide for Valicari, who is going to be fouled there by Kaique, well short of the halfway line.
And that time Dallas was pressing with just 2. And it's pretty easy for San Diego to get out of that.
It's worked back once again to Dos Santos. Musa again leading the press as it's worked out to the right side. And that time Alvarado put under pressure. Dallas got bodies in the press that time and forced the turnover. Out for a throw, taken quickly. Benjamin into the middle for Kaique, who loses it. And now Valicari driving forward through the center circle. Played out to the left side. Sargent making up the numbers here. The left back advancing. And he'll play it back to Sverkov as Dallas get everybody back. Sverkov into the middle. Ball through the lines, finds Valicari. It's well defended there by Uragide, and Dallas nowhere to go. Eventually it's given away by Valiente. Shot blocked back out to San Diego. Dreyer now from way out, blocked once again by Uragide. And the rebound is nodded out wide to Sargent. 42nd minute, and it feels like Dallas is just waiting for the whistle. Rolled through the lines to find Valicari at the top of the box. Bouncing ball inside the area. Nolan Norris passing it back to Sirois, who was rushing out off his line. Fortunately, the pass was wide of the goal, so it's behind for a corner.
That was near disaster. And that time in possession twice, Dallas's lines are actually very compact.
Corner kick taken quickly into the area. It hits off bodies and bounces out of the 18 on the far side. Set back for Sargent. Left-footed cross into the top of the 6. Ingvartsen's headers over the bar.
Yeah, 10th shot for San Diego. I was saying that Dallas's lines vertically and horizontally very compact, and yet San Diego still found little balls right into Ingvartsen's foot, and he's able to play off from there. So San Diego is just very good today at finding that interior pass.
Taken towards the end of the 43rd minute, Sirois sets it up for the goal kick. Feels like a game where Eric Quill wishes he had Ramiro available to try and problem solve out on the field. The Dallas captain out maybe for another month or so with a foot and ankle injury. Sirois sort of chunks the goal kick there, and it barely reaches the halfway line. Turned over to San Diego.
Seeing a graphic, 309 passes complete for San Diego, 96 for Dallas.
Even on the season, San Diego had just about double the passes completed as Dallas, but that would be triple, and that's been the flow of the game so far. It's wide for San Diego on their right side. McVay now dribbling up the near sideline backwards. Plays it into the middle. Dua has it at the halfway line.
San Diego does such a good job of getting the ball off their feet, usually when, even if they're not really under pressure, but every time they move the ball, they're changing an angle.
Sverkov once again out to the right side. McVay's getting more and more adventurous from center back. Try and join in and add an extra number to this attack. Verhoeven up against Benjamin, and Verhoeven plays it out of play for a Dallas throw. And we're into the final minute of the 45, plus whatever will be added on as Nolan Norris has the ball in hand, ready to take the throw.
And you'd have to think, what, 5-6 minutes maybe added on for that, for the injury?
The Daniel injury, really.
4 or 5, something like that.
The only stoppage of note. Cap is hitting a switching ball. Nobody really prepared to make a run out to the Dallas right side, and it turns over. It's up that far sideline to Alex Maiden, who now enters the final third on the dribble. Turns and plays it backwards to Sargent, and into the middle it goes for Sverkov. Sverkov through the lines, finds Valicari. Dreyer from inside the D, deflected shot, is behind for a corner.
I feel like it's got to be Ibeagha or Saze. He's got to step out a little quicker. And every possession now, they're finding one of those players. It's either Dreyer or Igvarsson or Valicari with that slipped-in ball.
Into 4 minutes of first half stoppage time. It's a corner kick from the far side. It'll be an outswinger for San Diego. Whipped in with pace, and that one's behind for a goal kick. Looks like Anders Dreyer tried to catch Sirois out, and it was especially strange because he was going for an outswinger. You don't really see an Olympico attempt there without the in-swinging arc of the ball.
It must have been aimed for somebody at the near post. I think. I really wouldn't. I don't know how the physics on that one work. 4 minutes of stoppage.
Dreyer exceeded expectations. Couldn't quite defy the law of physics after an incredible first season in MLS, and he's an all-star for a second straight season. The one all-star for San Diego. It's launched long up to Musa, who's fouled. And it'll be a Dallas free kick 10 yards into the attacking half on their right side. We've got 3 minutes remaining of the stoppage time here in the first half. And maybe a chance, like they did in Portland, to grab a goal and head into the locker room with some momentum. It's going to be Patrickson standing over the free kick. San Diego set their line well outside the 18. Here's the service in. It's a good ball in towards the back post. Verhoeven nods it up in the air, and it breaks for Valicari wide to the 18 on the near side. He stabs it forward up to Alvarado, who loses out. Possession won back by Kaique, who will dribble in field. Now checking it back into the middle for Kappas. Just wide of the 18, he pokes it forward to Musa, left center channel. Musa, nice step over, gets Sverkov off balance. He's moving from left to right. Now cuts back from the top of the D, rolls it through towards Norris on the near side, fires it through the 6, and it goes out the other side where Sargent puts it behind for a corner.
That was a terrific ball from Petar Musa, who had to fight off a bunch of pressure and then slipped a diagonal ball out to the left side right into Norris's path, and Nolan Norris flashes one across the face of the goal, and I think it was Valiente that was coming in there and almost connected with a diving header.
It's Valiente to take the corner towards the near post, hits the first man, back out to Valiente. We'll get a second chance at it. No, there's a foul whistled against Dallas inside the area. Uragide is not happy about the call. So really poor service on the corner, wouldn't have mattered anyway. As the replay shown, then Norris's cross had a ton of pace on it, but it wasn't far away from Ron Benjamin, who was the player in the middle. But it was a close your eyes and hope for Benjamin. He was never going to be able to have enough time to react to it. Halfway through the 4 minutes added on, San Diego possession in their defensive half. Worked out to the right side, McVay, and back into the middle for Alvarado. From the center circle, Sverkov brings it past the halfway line and now scoops it out to the left wing. Shackmore winning the header there for Dallas. Kaike has it, looking for a way to find a teammate. Back for Shackmore, who will dribble up the far sideline. Shackmore still on the dribble, but nobody really presenting themselves as an option. His pass was looking for Valiente, but it was off the mark. Taken backwards on the throw-in up the far sideline and into the middle for Sverkov. Final minute or so of the 4 added on. Sverkov into the right center channel for McVeigh. McVeigh now into the final third at the top of the box. Shot blocked, bounces out to Verhoeven. Wide to the 18 on the near side. Back for McVeigh. Finds Sverkov in the middle. And that will do it for us in the first half. Dallas bending but not breaking. Threatening at times at the other end, but it's been a whole lot of San Diego possession. Dallas forced into the one change with the injury and goal. Daniel replaced by Sirois. Plenty to talk about at the halftime break, and you'd imagine plenty to talk about in the locker room for FC Dallas as well, as we'll see some second half adjustments in about 15 minutes. But we'll take a quick break, and we'll be back with the halftime show. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
You push your body hard in the name of fitness. Sure, it's for a good cause. But a good cause shouldn't mean sacrificing a good time. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now! We're kicking things off by kicking up mud. Jump in, campers. We're going off-roading in a 4Runner. Next, we're heading to the hot springs in a RAV4. And finally, park your Tundras and Tacomas around the campfire because we're roasting marshmallows. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
When you don't compromise on the court, you shouldn't compromise off of it either. Lose the calories, not the taste. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. Copyright 2024.
After 45 plus at Snapdragon Stadium, it's 0-0 as FC Dallas and San Diego have yet to score, although for one side it is not for lack of trying. Hello everybody, it is the FC Dallas Halftime Show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by Advocare, building champions together. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a moment by the voices of tonight's contest, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. And with no halftime highlights, as there is no goals, let's go ahead and get you your halftime stats. Those are brought to you by UMB Bank. Possession goes the way of the home side San Diego 70-30. 13 shots, 5 of those on target for the Chrome and Azul. 2 total shots for Dallas, none of those on target. You've had 5 saves total across 2 goalkeepers for Dallas, none so far for CJ Dos Santos. 5 fouls for Dallas, 3 for San Diego. No cards handed out as of yet. Now let's bring in the voices of this one to try and figure it. It's Steve Davis. And Ryan, if I told you one of these teams coming into this one was in 5th place, one of these was in 13th place, I'm not sure you could pick out the right team because San Diego has been very much the protagonist through 45 plus, and FC Dallas has been consistently on the back foot.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody recognizes that San Diego, where they are on the table, is not necessarily representative of their quality. It's more a representation of the mistakes that they made, particularly in the first part of the season. And they're a team that's going to be dangerous no matter who they're playing because of their style of play, because of the likes of Anders Dreyer and Marcus Ingvartsen, and because of the way that Jeppe Sverkov can just run the game. And that is what he was able to do in the first half. It was bossed by him. I mentioned it felt like he just always had the ball, and if he gave it up for a moment, he was just loaning it out to his teammate because he was going to be getting it back right away. And I think Steve had the number up near 100 touches in a half for Jeppe Sverkov, and that just speaks to the dominance territorially and in terms of possession for San Diego.
Jeppe Sverkov, 98 touches. Just to put that into some perspective, Kaike and Kappas had the most for Dallas with 28 and 29 touches. So it's Svechnikov making the entry pass, or sometimes it's Dreyer making the entry pass, and they're just finding the gaps, playing right through Dallas's two lines of four, and then it's somebody knocking a ball off right at the top of the 18, and Dallas is going to have to step up on that guy a little bit quicker. They've got to apply a little bit more pressure out front, and just not let San Diego play with their head up. Go be a little bit more aggressive. And right now they're just they can't even be aggressive because they're not getting close enough. They're just absolutely chasing shadows out there.
And the big event for Dallas, unfortunately, was an injury. As in the 19th minute, Daniel was officially subbed off for Jonathan Sirois. Daniel had a big stretch save, but unfortunately, it looks like he stretched a little too far on that right leg. If we get details, we'll pass him along, but he ended up coming out. Looked very distressed as the medical staff was working with him. And, obviously 5 saves across both Sirois and Daniel, who have both looked good, Steve, but it's just real unfortunate as Daniel seemed like he was settling into a nice groove, and then that injury pops up.
Yeah, for sure. And, we know that it was a tough choice for Eric Quill as far as who he was going to bring as the second goalkeeper. He elected to bring Sirois, and we see now that those choices can be very impactful at times. Boy, I tell you what, it's turned into a really bad night at the office, because I feel like that was probably the worst half that we saw from FC Dallas this year, and you punctuate it with an injury to your goalkeeper. Turns into a really bad night at the office. The good news, as Ryan said during the break, is that it's 0-0, and that feels like a little bit of a gift right now. But that means you have time to go to the locker room and make some adjustments.
One of the big reasons it is 0-0, Ryan, is the fact that while Petar Musa has started tonight, he hasn't really had much impact, and that's not really all his fault. At one point in the first half, I checked, and he had 1 touch in the final third, 11 touches total. I think that was in the 35th minute. I can't imagine it got much better as the final 10 minutes went on. And, I know sometimes it's simple, just get the ball to Musa. That's like running the touchdown play. But on a certain level, Musa does have to have the ball if he's going to score goals.
Yeah, and I think it's telling that even with just 14 total touches in the first half, he probably creates the 2 best chances for Dallas with just his pure quality on the ball. And it's imperative that he gets more of the ball in the second half. I think Dallas was sort of caught between 2 ideas of how they wanted to approach this game. They wanted to have legs to press, and they wanted to have those bodies in there like Patrickson in the middle and Valiente on the right, Benjamin on the left. But despite those guys you think of as central midfielders, guys that can combine, they're sort of, being pushed so far back that the only option forward is Petar Musa. And so when he's up there by himself, it's not hard for the 2 San Diego center backs or one of the midfielders to just double team and make sure he doesn't get the ball, and then there's no way out for Dallas. So I feel like they're caught between the idea of wanting to press and then wanting to play out of the pressure and wanting to play direct, and they need to get a second body in there if they want to play direct. It's probably going to be Logan Farrington if they do go that route, or they need to get another player like Asante Moreno in there to connect between the lines. Right now they've got neither, and they've got no way out.
Yeah, and one of the issues, I think you hit on it there, is that Valiente and Benjamin are really interior players playing in those wide midfield positions. So what happens is as they move down the field, they're more comfortable sort of cutting inside, and now you've got no width in the final third, and that makes things very predictable for San Diego. In fact, one of the chances for Dallas was created when it was actually Petar Musa that drifted all the way out to the left touchline and then played his way out of pressure, 2 men around him with San Diego, but slipped in a ball right behind him and created eventually creating a half chance in there. So I do feel like if they are going to play on the break, you're right, Ryan, they've got to get a little bit of speed in there. Neither Valiente or Benjamin are a guy that's going to run the break, get up the wing quickly. Again, they're more possession guys in the middle, so maybe if a Bernie Kamungo can come in, or as you said, even Asante Moreno that can get on the ball a little bit more than Patrickson is. Patrickson right now is sitting underneath Musa, at least ostensibly as that second forward. He hasn't even really been able to take up that position very often because Dallas really doesn't have the ball in the attacking half very much.
And defensively, the problems have come when Valicari or Dreyer have drifted in near Ingvartsen, and Dallas' center backs are very occupied by the forward, and he's a really good player, and they should be aware of him at all times. He's in the top 5 in the league in goals for a reason. But it's Dreyer or it's Valicari who's receiving the first ball, and then it's it's Ingvartsen running off of that. And so they need to get another body in there, whether it's a holding midfielder or switching to 3 center backs to allow one of those center backs to step out, because there's so many times where, whether it was Valicari or Dreyer right in front of the Dallas backline receiving it, and you can see whether it's Ibiaga or Gide is starting to step out to it, but they don't feel comfortable in going early and cutting off that pass completely. So it feels like for Dallas at that end of the field, they need to have either another midfielder in there just to sit between the 2 guys and block that passing lane, or they need to have a 3rd center back to allow one of the 3 to step out and contest that pass through the middle.
Yeah, and I think Sam hit on it a minute ago. If they had a Ramiro in there, an actual true holding midfielder who understood a little bit more about preventing that entry ball, that particular ball. But, it's not – Kaique is not really that guy. Kappas isn't really that guy. They don't really have a true holding midfielder in right now to help manage that space.
I always love getting credit for Ryan's ideas. It's always fun. I appreciate the credit on that. I'll take it. But
sorry, I thought that was you, Sam.
No, that's okay. I always like being told I'm smart. I'm never gonna complain too much. As we have just about a minute here, I do want to pose the question. The Daniel change is obviously in and of itself a change, because you've got to bring in a goalkeeper cold off the bench. But Steve, now Eric Quill only has 4 substitutions to work with instead of 5. And now, especially with the way you played on Wednesday, now you're playing about 72 hours later. That's got to really kind of put in his mind, okay, how quickly do I change, and do I even have to kind of mitigate how much I change because of an injury possibility?
Or do you go ahead and make a change at the half?
Yeah, that's another question.
You have 4 changes to make now, but you only have 2 windows to do it. So, and that's not bad. What happens though is if you make 2 tactical changes, now you're out of windows in case maybe somebody gets hurt a little late. So that's why it might be good to do 1 at least at the half, and also because they're just not playing very well.
That's also true. Well, we will see what happens. It is 0-0 right now at Snapdragon Stadium. Dallas looking to get their first win out at the new stadium of San Diego FC. We will take a break, and when we come back, Ryan and Steve will get you ready for the second half of action. You're listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
It's a moment when I show up, God, I'm saying wow.
Welcome to the world of WinStar, the casino of FC Dallas, where 10,000 electronic games, plus roulette, craps, and blackjack is just the beginning. Get lost in our 2-story luxury spa, rest in one of our vast hotel towers, and catch the biggest names in music and comedy at the spectacular Lucas Oil Live, all just 1 hour north of DFW. So come live in the wow at the world of WinStar.
God, I'm saying wow.
Want to hear something incredible? That's Eleanor. Just 10 hours after being born, Eleanor was airlifted to Children's Health and met by our expert team trained in cardiac and critical care. At 4 days old, she received a stent to help her heart pump blood to the rest of her body. And today, she's a happy, healthy 1-year-old. That's incredible. That's Children's Health. Incredible together.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now! We're kicking things off by kicking up mud. Jump in, campers. We're going off-roading in a 4Runner. Next, we're heading to the hot springs in a RAV4. And finally, park your Tundras and Tacomas around the campfire because we're roasting marshmallows. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome you back. Just about set for the second half in San Diego. Dallas and San Diego FC knotted up scoreless at the break. As we talked about at the halftime show, it was a half largely dominated possession-wise by the home side. It's what we expect. That's their style of play. Dallas, though, not finding the avenues to counterattacks that has been so important for their style of play and their ability to score goals. And Steve, it's been a really good stretch in front of goal for Dallas of late. You know, since they switched to the 4-4-2 late in that first part of the season, they've scored essentially 2 goals a game, but that hasn't been possible in this first half because they just weren't getting the ball forward and they didn't have enough of it to find Petter Musa in dangerous areas.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's a stretch to say that this was probably the worst half of soccer that we've seen FC Dallas play, and it starts when you can't connect out of the back. That means you can't move the ball through the midfield. If you can't move the ball through the midfield, you're going to get very few opportunities in the final third, and even when they did, we talked about how the setup really wasn't working there because you don't have a lot of width once you get there, so San Diego was able to repel pretty much everything without much of an issue, and hasn't been much for CJ DeSantos to do in goal for San Diego.
Well, at the halftime break, San Diego unveiling their newest signing, Elias Ashuri, the designated player who represented Tunisia at the World Cup. He was shown off to his new fans at Snapdragon Stadium tonight at the game. Not available, obviously, to play a part just yet, but they're adding to their attack, especially with no Irving Lozano, who continues to be isolated from the team. He was so important against Dallas and scoring 3 goals against them in the previous 3 meetings between these two teams, but he's been completely away from the squad of late as the two teams make their way out of the tunnel and get set for the second half in San Diego tonight. We await any potential changes in terms of personnel. Eric Will has sat down on the bench now. There's conversations ongoing around him. It does look like there will be a change as the 4th official receives that small slip of paper that indicates there will be somebody coming on.
I mean, honestly, I was going to be a little surprised if there wasn't a change here because things were not working really in any way for Dallas in the first half. So we'll get that. We'll get that indication here in a minute. It looks like maybe it's Bernie Kamungo coming in.
Yeah, Kamungo coming on could represent a potential change of shape. We saw Kamungo play as a left wing back before he picked up the injury in the first part of the season, but he's also played just as the traditional wide midfielder in this 4-4-2. Either way, though, Steve, it's important that he's coming in to give them some speed, a potential counterattacking threat over the top, because that was something that was clearly lacking in that first half.
Yeah, we'll see who he's coming in for, but you're right, because right now San Diego really hasn't had to account for much on the counterattack, so they can get even more bodies into the attacking third.
This will be the most significant minutes for Bernard since his return from injury. He played just over a half hour in Portland. He's on for Joaquin Valiente to start the second half. So a wide midfielder is going to be replaced here. And that may be a change of shape, or it may be just Bernard setting up on the right wing, which is the position where he broke through all that time ago, although he's gone across to the left side. It'll be San Diego to take the kickoff. It's dropped back by Valicari. Back to Manu Dua in the middle of the San Diego half, and we're back underway in the second 45. And we'll talk you through maybe what that change means for the Dallas structure when we get a chance to see it in full. Possession in the defensive half for San Diego. Dallas stepping the pressure higher up the field, up to the halfway line now. Launched forward towards the striker Ingvartsen. Headed away by Urigide. It stays with San Diego on the far sideline. And Verhoeven dribbles it over the line, out for a Dallas throw.
Yeah, I don't want to speak too soon, but it looks like maybe Dallas is going to go to 5 in the back.
Kamungo lifts it up the far sideline towards Musa. It's trapped there by McVeigh, who turns and plays it back to Dos Santos. Benjamin and Delgado up front alongside Musa. And yeah, it looks like Kamungo playing as the left wing back, so a shift in formation for Dallas, who are pushing San Diego back here. It's the home side in possession in their own 18-yard box. Rolled through the box, out to Kieran Sargent, the left back. Plays it forward to Mighton. Quick combination with Valicari. Now a foot race to get to it. Shaq Moore a couple of steps behind Mighton, who's got speed to burn. Now Moore back in position, but Mighton cutting across the top of the box. Fires a shot that deflects high into the sky and bounces out for a throw on the near sideline. Taken quickly into the midfield for Sverkov, who scoops the pass over the top, looking for Valicari, overhits it, and it's out for a goal kick.
I think it was Shaq Moore a minute ago that came flying in there and finally was able to stop Mighton and block that shot.
So in the second half, Dallas is moving from left to right. San Diego moving from right to left. Sirois setting up the goal kick down to the left of our vantage point.
I'm not sure if they had some rain there, but the field looking pretty choppy.
It's been a problem with Snapdragon Stadium, who's host to San Diego FC, San Diego Wave, and WSL, as well as plenty of the sports for San Diego State University, where the stadium is located. Possession back with San Diego as it was launched long from the goal kick, and the home team controls possession. Middle of their own half. Sverkov turns upfield. From the center circle, he's dribbling out to the right. Now rolls it wide for Dreyer. Set backwards and back along the back line for San Diego. Just shy of the halfway line, Sverkov turns, gets his head up. Pass forward is deflected by Delgado, but Kappas was unable to hold the second ball. And Valakari has it now in the attacking half, just outside the center circle. Lifted in behind by Sverkov, who's maybe showing a little bit less patience than he showed in the first half. Another one overhit through to the goalkeeper. Sirois fires it out to Nolan Norris, who's now the left center back of the three. Back into the Dallas 18 for Uragide, who chips it ahead. Delgado flicked header up towards Musa. Dua steps in front and volleys it out for a Dallas throw on the far sideline.
FC Dallas now into the 20s in terms of percentage of possession.
Norris readying the throw in. Hasn't been the problem for San Diego. They've been able to maintain that high level of possession this season that they showed last year when they were so good. It's been about converting it into goals, avoiding mistakes, as it's back to Dos Santos under some pressure. Rolls it out to the San Diego right. A ball through the 18-yard box is out to the left back Sargent, wide to the box on the near side. He plays it forward up to Valakari, who receives it as he moves forward out to the San Diego left, still shy of the halfway line. And he plays it backwards. I'll move it along the back line once again.
Yeah, Dallas is pressing up a little bit higher, not dropping quite so low. We'll see how long that lasts.
Sverkov brings it past the halfway line now, plays it out to the left wing. Mighton returns it to him, the left center channel. It's the San Diego captain playing into the middle and receiving it back once again. All the attacking players for San Diego making different runs, trying to free themselves up. Sargent passes back for Dua. Now Alvarado on the turn, looking to split the Dallas midfield, frees himself up, fires a shot from distance and scores. Sirois diving to his left as the shot from way out for Alvarado hits the net. It's his first MLS goal.
You know, Ryan, I was just about to say a minute ago, I think Alvarado has come in his first start this year. I think he's done really well in there. He's provided some steal in the midfield for San Diego. Well, that time he got turned, and at about 25 yards, he just looked up, and instead of slipping a ball in, which is what we saw repeatedly in the first half from that position, he just decided to have a lash at it, and he really placed the ball well into that right corner.
Yeah, he dribbled through Heike and Kappas and unleashes the shot from about 25 yards, left center channel for San Diego, and had a lot of power. Sirois diving to his left, couldn't keep it out.
And it's almost like Sirois even saw it a little bit late. He just kind of caught, he got caught between steps, I think. And he just dove a little bit late.
The 22-year-old, originally a product of the Los Angeles Galaxy Academy, never really broke through there, but he's made his way back to MLS with San Diego, and he has his first goal in the league, and that's the difference between the two sides as we restart play in the 51st minute. All the way back to Sirois, Dallas in possession. Their goalkeeper will launch it long up to the halfway line. Benjamin able to control it with the header back for Shaq Moore, who will now dribble it forward once again past halfway. Now combining with Musa. 10 yards into the attacking half. He hits a switching ball out for the run of Kamungo on the far side, just under hit. Verhoeven gets a piece of it, but it's now Kamungo with positioning, holding the defender on his back. Plays it backwards up the far sideline and now moved back to halfway. Saze Arguide in the center circle. To his right for Ibiaga. Now wide right for Shaq Moore. Into the right center channel. Now Benjamin drives forward. Wide to the 18. Now into the area. Looking for options. Chipped ball in towards Musa. Musa rising up. Heads it right at the goalkeeper Dos Santos, who makes the catch. And that is the best chance of the game now for Dallas, and it comes in the immediate aftermath of conceding. Benjamin setting up Musa. Maybe could have done better there.
Yeah, Benjamin really had a lot of time to get his head up inside the penalty area. Not enough pressure from San Diego, and he plays a pretty good ball, I guess, to the back post, but it just didn't have a lot of pace on it. And it's interesting that Petar Musa, big as he is, he doesn't generate a lot of shots with his head, but you're right, best chance for Dallas so far.
San Diego swings it through the midfield. They've got it in the center circle with the goal scorer, Alvarado. Played into the attacking half of the circle for Sverkov.
And it is definitely a 5-4-1 that Dallas is playing right now. It's Delgado who drops into that left side, and Ron Benjamin drops into the right side of that midfield line of four.
Scooped ball up to the forward line. Ingvartsen was offside as Dallas had stepped out well, kept the line well disciplined there.
Showing that goal again from Alvarado, and he just accepts the ball right in between Kappas and Ka'ike. Just turns away, turns right in between them. It's a really nice, it's a really sharp little turn. And, of course, a sharp shot as well.
Dallas in possession, just shy of the halfway line. It's played up towards the run of Benjamin. Bounces inside the area, and it's caught off the one bounce by Dos Santos.
The thing is, Ryan, I understand why it's hard to play against San Diego. But even once Dallas has possession, they're just not really generating the attacking ideas.
Possession deep in defensive territory. San Diego with McVeigh dribbling up the far sideline. Plays it ahead to Ingvartsen at the halfway line, who knocks it out off Kamungo. And it'll be a throw for the home team. Eric Quill has some options on the bench. He's already had to make two changes. One because of the first half injury to Daniel. Kamungo on at the halftime break. They've got the likes of Logan Farrington, Santi Moreno, Sam Sarver available to come into this one. Sverkov has it in the center circle.
I feel like as long as he's healthy, it's a game that Santi Moreno could really change just with his ability to possess and create a little bit.
Sverkov from just outside the center circle plays it out to the San Diego right. And now back to the halfway line for Dua. And at some point, Dallas is going to have to chase a little bit more. Now trailing in this game. They're forcing San Diego backwards. Now a ball played through the lines. Finds Ingvartsen, set back for Dreyer. Well defended by Uragide, but possession turns over. Kamungo trying something maybe over elaborate there. Gave it away. And now Sverkov plays it wide right once again for Dreyer. Set back to Sverkov. And they'll move it now to the halfway line. McVeigh combining with Dreyer, but they pass backwards once again for Dua. Now he'll switch it across towards the near side. Finds Sverkov still in the center circle. Dreyer first time pass intercepted by Ka'ike. Delgado goes down, and it'll be a Dallas free kick. And that was really the only way they were going to get out there.
Ryan, in that sequence, Sverkov possessed the ball 7 different times.
And that is emblematic of how the game has gone. Talked about the 3-3 draw earlier this season between these two teams, and Sverkov started on the bench in that one and really came in and made a difference, and he's been able to play from the start here, and he's been the dominant force on the field. Sliding tackle, a little bit of a naughty one there for Alvarado, and Ka'ike has limped away from it and now gone down.
I said a while ago that Alvarado, the goal scorer, has brought some toughness into that midfield for San Diego, and I agree that was a couple of tough fouls from him.
Surprised that doesn't result in a yellow card, but it'll be a Dallas free kick. Taken short. Nolan Norris has it. Left to center, looking for options ahead of him. We'll move it across to Uragide, center of the three. Played wide to the halfway line on the near side. Shackmore plays it out off of Sargent and picks up the second loose ball there and fires it quickly into midfield. Ka'ike turning wide towards Shackmore, but Sargent is in the way there. Kappas winning it back in the midfield for Dallas. Up against Ingvartsen. And now he's able to turn Christian Kappas into the center circle, combining with Musa, who's at the halfway line. Chipped ball out towards the right side for the run of Shaq Moore, just out of his reach. As Shaq lost his footing there at full stretch to try and keep it in play.
Yeah, he hit that little area where the grass turns into turf just off the field and just lost his footing. Can't be fun to slide on that stuff either.
Possession deep in their own half of San Diego on the left side for Sargent. Under some pressure from Benjamin, turns and plays it all the way back now to Dos Santos. Out of the 18 to the right side, McVeigh now lifting it forward towards Ingvartsen. Loose touch from him. Benjamin, nice touch to get it towards Kaique. And sliding from behind again, Alvarado, this time not penalized. It breaks for Kamungo. Kamungo rolled forward towards the far corner of the 18. It was last touch off San Diego, but kept in play well by McVeigh. And now the home side have possession just outside the 18-yard box in their own end. Quickly switched across to Sargent, who's got plenty of space to bring it forward. And we know Musa wasn't quite at full match fitness and still was able to impact the game off the bench in Portland, but how long can he go in this game as we approach the hour mark in the 59th minute?
Well, he might be able to go a little longer, Ryan, because he just hasn't had to do much. They haven't had the ball much.
Sverkov lifts it out to the right side for San Diego. Cutback ball to the top of the box. It's Valicari. Shot saved by Sirois. Palmed out towards the near side. Spinning ball is going to run out of play for a throw, but it deflected off a San Diego player, so it'll be a Dallas throw. But Valicari, who's been the thorn in the Dallas side in the previous meetings between these two teams, nearly got on the score sheet there.
Dallas just wasn't really organized behind the ball on that one, as Valicari found the ball at the top of the 18, and
it's actually a save
off the post
from Sirois, some fingertips to it, but then it cannons off the post. It looked like he got a touch. Maybe he didn't even touch it, and that's why it was a throw-in for Dallas. Here's Mighton now breaking in off the left wing for San Diego. Into the middle, Alvarado now sets it back wide to this left side. Sargent into the left center channel. Sverkov has it with time. Played to the top of the D. Dreyer lifts it into the area. Now wide for Sargent, who breaks for the byline. Cutback ball finds Mighton. Good tackle from Ibeagha. Dallas needs to find a way out. Benjamin dribbling it towards the corner flag on the near side. Back for Shaq Moore, who plays it ahead for Ibeagha. And now Ibeagha will play it forward for Musa. His pass hits the referee. And even when Dallas does finally connect to get out of their own end there, it's the referee who plays as the extra defender. And they'll get the ball back as the drop ball, with Santi Moreno now set to enter the game at the next opportunity.
Ryan, a moment ago, though, a good example of Dallas just not executing very well. Sverkov has the ball just outside the penalty area, and there's just no pressure on him.
Shaq Moore now has it wide right, still well into the Dallas half. Foul from Ingvartsen into the back of Kaique. And it looks like Anderson Julio is also going to make his return from injury. So number 10 and number 11 set to enter the game. Patrickson will be the first player replaced. Benjamin off as well. So two changes in the front line for Eric Quill as we've played an hour. And he'll have one change still to potentially make in this game later on.
Yeah, pretty uneventful game for Patrickson. Just 22 touches overall. 12 of 17 on his passing.
Possession with Ibeagha wide on the right side. He lifts it forward up towards Julio, who will look to make a first impression here. It's nodded out of play by Sargent, and it's a Dallas throw high up the field on the right side. Shaq Moore has it, looking for options. Fires it into Musa. First time pass forward, looking for Moreno. Just behind him, and it's going to run through all the way for a goal kick. And now some new ideas and some fresh legs into the attack as Dallas has to come from behind here at Snapdragon Stadium. McVeigh lifts it forward to Dreyer, who's moving backwards here in his own half. Combines well with Sverkov, and now Valicari puts it in behind for the run of Mighton on the near side. Mighton's going to get there first as it nearly spun out of play. Shaq Moore now closing him down near the corner flag. Played back up the near sideline and rolled into midfield for Sverkov.
We'll see how this plays out because Anderson Julio on the right and Santi Marino on the left. They're going to have a lot of defending to do, and it's not really something that Anderson Julio relishes.
Dallas forcing San Diego back into their own half. Dua plays it out to the right side. McVeigh turns just shy of the halfway line and plays it back into the middle. Sverkov now with time. And Dallas with everybody back as Dua has it near the halfway line. 63rd minute, and San Diego in front through Alvarado's goal here in the second half. They have it played wide to the right side. Now moved backwards and into the middle once again. Sverkov from the middle of the field. Out to Sargent, who plays it up the left wing to Mighton. Mighton dribbling at Shackmore, then cutting back to find Sverkov in the left center channel. Controlled possession for San Diego with the lead. Alvarado fires it back to the left center channel for Sverkov, who bends the ball in behind, looking for the run of Sargent. Sargent keeps it in play through the 6-yard box. Norris got a touch, but the flag is up. And looks like it will be either offside or a goal kick. The end result is essentially the same.
Well, 64th minute, Ryan. The thing is, as difficult as it's been out there for FC Dallas, they're only 1-0 down. And recall, of course, that they were down, I believe, by 2 goals against San Diego as these teams met back in March. And Dallas ends up getting a 3-3 draw out of that one.
Oh, a tough tackle there into the back of Petr Musa from Sverkov. And Musa is down. It was a long ball up towards the Moose, who held the defender on his back, and Sverkov maybe lost his footing or maybe just went in from behind there. And Musa is showing a grimace on his face and flexing his left ankle. And there haven't been many fouls in this game, but San Diego's been guilty at times of coming from behind, being a little bit over the top in terms of the physicality, and yeah, to slide in from behind, it's a dangerous play from Sverkov.
Well, they're both just sort of jostling for the ball. And they sort of fall into each other.
Musa up now and moving. Santi Moreno stands over the free kick. 10 yards into the attacking half, wide on the right. He plays it in behind for Anderson Julio to the top of the box. Step over, and now a shot towards the back post is up and over the bar. A nice little idea there to take the free kick quickly. Those two substitutes just into the game with some new, fresh ideas.
Yeah, it was. Anderson Julio, as he got free along that right center channel, he did have Asazi Urguide and Petr Musa breaking in. He might have done better just to flash that ball across the face of goal.
San Diego playing out and now launching it up the right side. Dreyer sets it back to the center circle, and Vartson ahead to Mighton. 1v1 in space with Ibiaga approaching the top of the box. He cuts back. Shackmore gets a piece of the ball from behind, and Dallas comes away with possession.
Ibiaga really smart. They were recognizing that Mighton wants to bring the ball back to his right side, and Ibiaga just wasn't having it. He was showing him left all the way.
Possession in the defensive half for Dallas. 66th minute now. Kaike has it in the circle. And those sort of 1v1 opportunities for someone like Mighton are the risk Dallas is going to have to take as they launch it long up towards Musa. Bouncing ball at the top of the box. Sargent volleys it clear, but it breaks for Kappas in the middle of the attacking half. Over to the left center channel for Moreno, who darts past his defender. It's poked out to Kamungo now, receives it at the byline. Set back from Moreno, wide to the 18-yard box on the far side. Now he plays it back to Norris, and it's moved along the back line. Urguide has it now in the middle. Kappas, dead center of the San Diego half, turning now to his favored left foot. Scooped ball up for the run of Moreno. Bounces beyond him and through to Dos Santos.
That was a nice little reverse ball from Chris Kappas as he spins back toward the left side and sees that run from Moreno and just about pulls it off.
Dos Santos eventually picking it up and now setting it back down at his feet. Waiting for Dallas to step the pressure up, and then he'll try and play out. Julio now steps towards him. He plays it to his right for McVeigh. Verhoeven playing it up the far sideline, deflected out by Bernard Kamungo for a San Diego throw.
Dallas, by the way, with the introduction a moment ago of Santi Moreno and Anderson Julio, they have now crept above 30% on the possession.
Nice header won by Kamungo, wide on the left side, up for Moreno, who beats McVeigh to the byline. Now he's scampering up the byline, but just runs out of room, and the support really wasn't waiting in the middle for him as he was the furthest player forward anyway.
I do feel like in the first few minutes here that Santi Moreno is giving San Diego a little something to worry about defensive-wise.
San Diego playing out up the far sideline. Set back for Verhoeven, now ahead for Valicari, who turns and plays it into the middle, and Dreyer now bearing down through the middle of the field to the top of the box. Left-footed shot from distance, punched away by Sirois up to the top of the box. And Ibiaga puts it out for a throw out on the far sideline.
That shot hit right at Sirois, but it looked like it had a little bit of movement. And so FC Dallas goalkeeper now, after Daniel was injured, just elects to put 2 fists on it and punch it away.
Possession at the halfway line for McVeigh. San Diego again attacking from right to left in this second half. And the navy blue uniforms lifted forward to the front line, and Vartson able to turn. Uragide immediately tackles it away from him, and the offside flag is up. And that might be why he was so wide open through the middle of the field. And Vartson, who's thrown his name into the hat in terms of Golden Boot contenders behind Petar Musa in the race with 11 goals and 4 assists on the season.
Well, Ryan, the defensive shape shift into that 5-4-1, it really has allowed Dallas to push San Diego a little further out. I don't think they've controlled the game quite as much this half.
Kayike making his way up the right side. It deflects back towards him now as he approaches the attacking third. Played into the middle. Here's Santi Moreno, left center channel, now wide to Kamungo, just outside the 18-yard box. Burst of speed to the byline, low cross sent in, deflected behind for a corner. And it'll come from the far side. Moreno picks up the ball across and goes across to take it.
Nice job there by Bernie Kamungo. Verhaven, the right back for San Diego, thought that Bernie Kamungo wanted to cut back and shoot on his right foot and showed him a little too much to the outside, and Kamungo was able to get that cross in.
So Moreno looking for an in-swinger from the far side. Whipped in off the right foot to the back post. Ibiaga was the one who made the run, but it was over his head and behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, without Patrick's and Delgado in there, looks like Dallas doesn't really have a natural corner kick taker.
Dua will take the goal kick for San Diego. This is their usual MO with goal kicks. The center back will take it short to the goalkeeper and then invite that pressure. And here comes the pressure for Dallas as it is taken short. Sverkov back to Dos Santos inside the 6. And plays it out to the right side. McVeigh makes his way forward. Now he launches it long, and Mighton's making the run to try and track it down, but it bounces through for Sirois. Fires it ahead to Kappas, who's just shy of the center circle. And now Moreno receives it at the halfway line on the left side for Dallas. Played into the middle, looking for Kayike, but it's deflected. And San Diego will recover possession deep in their own half.
I mean, San Diego still, playing possession, playing little 5-yard passes back to the goalkeeper there. I mean, they would play out of the back of a Toyota truck, wouldn't they? Even if you put 10 guys around them.
They've got it just shy of the center circle with Sverkov, and now the goal scorer Alvarado rolls it through the middle. Valicari sets it for Dreyer, who will now drive through the middle. Dreyer in behind for Mighton. Mighton with a heavy touch, and Sirois out off his line comes and covers it up well.
Yeah, brave there from Sirois because Mighton was getting in there quick.
Musa receives it, scoops it out to the left side for Kamungo, who is now into the attacking half. Leaves it for Moreno, who darts in field off the wing. Back to the center circle for Uragide. In the right center channel, Kayike rolls it into the middle. Moreno's got a pocket of space, now slips it in behind for Anderson Julio, who gets there first. It breaks back for Moreno, chip up and over the bar.
Oh, what good work from Moreno to play Anderson Julio in, and you thought for a minute he had rounded the goalkeeper Dos Santos, but Dos Santos got a fist to it, popped it right back out for Santi Moreno, who right at the top of the 18 looked like he had an angle. He could have just chipped the fallen Dos Santos, and he just got up under it and put it way too high.
He also had Petar Musa 5 yards to his left demanding the ball. And you're not really going to pass there, but if you were going to pass to anybody, that was an option that was available.
Which is interesting because usually Moreno, if he's got an issue, it's that he passes too often. he doesn't take the shot.
A couple of changes for San Diego as Vasquez is on for Ingvartsen in the front line, and Godoy is on for the goal scorer Alvarado. Godoy started on Wednesday. Panamanian veteran midfielders on to try and see this one out for the home side.
Yeah, Anibal Godoy. He's got a lot more experience than Alvarado. Look at that.
Dos Santos under pressure, lifts it out to the left side. Volleyed forward by Sargent. Header won by Ibiaga. Kept in play well by Shaq Moore. Inventive play to keep it in. Kaique is unable to do anything with it. Dua has it now at the top of the box in the San Diego end. Nice combination through the lines, but the last pass breaks for Ibiaga, and then Kapis releases it well. Now left center channel, it's Moreno. Out to the left wing, Kamungo making his way forward, wide to the 18. Set back to Santi Moreno. Scooped it in towards Musa, chested down, and now a left-footed volley is deflected out and behind for a corner. And in the middle of that build-up, Kapis was absolutely clattered into by Anibal Godoy, who somehow has escaped the yellow card for his first involvement in this game. But it's another Dallas corner from the far side. 74th minute. It's Moreno again. Runs towards the near post, and two San Diego players hit the deck. So Moreno will hold the service as they pick themselves up.
Ryan, it's Moreno and Kamungo who have come in and given Musa somebody to play with up there. Much more effective than what Dallas had, guys like Benjamin and Delgado and even Valiente had to offer.
There's a lot of hand fighting inside the area as the referee's had a conversation, now walks away.
Victor Rivas literally put his hands on somebody there.
Whipped in by Moreno, this time towards the near post, and the whistle goes. And it's Valakari who's down inside the area. Didn't spot that exact incident, but felt like that was maybe all a little bit intentional from San Diego, hitting the deck the first time and sort of getting the attention of the referee, whether it was really much contact or not. Now Godoy wins a free kick from Kaique just shy of the halfway line. San Diego was making their way up the far side. 15 minutes plus stoppage time to go. Dallas still within a goal here, despite trailing for most of the second half and having very little in terms of attacking opportunities in this game.
Really closing the gap in terms of shots too. Now 16-7. Just about 5 minutes ago it was 16-4.
San Diego wide on their left side. Sargent plays it back to the halfway line. And Godoy will fire it back to McVeigh, who's moving deeper and deeper into his own half. Passes back to Dos Santos, the goalkeeper, who returns it to McVeigh inside the 18. Played forward to Vasquez and set back for Sverkov, who sends it clear. Urguide with a miscue there, and now it's Dreyer sprinting through the middle. And he's got options either side. Slipped out to Valakari at the top of the box. Valakari over to Mighton. Sliding tackle from Urguide. And he puts it out for a throw on the near side. He's maybe feeling the effects of that one, but huge tackle for Urguide to keep this a one-goal game.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't the best work there from Valakari, who's been really good tonight, but he probably should have. He shorted the pass just a little bit and allowed Osazi Urguide to get in there.
Really important tackle there as Valakari, I mentioned how lethal he's been against Dallas, opted not to take the shot himself. San Diego in possession, work it back to the center circle. McVeigh surveys his options. Now receives it back 15 yards deeper into his own half.
Well, Ryan, Dallas still has one change to make if Eric Will wants to do it, and he does have Logan Farrington still on the bench. The issue right now is it's working pretty well. I don't know who you'd bring off.
Valakari turns past Ibiaga and now drives forward past the halfway line. Dallas a man light at the back here as it's rolled to the top of the box. Vasquez cutting away from Kaique onto his left foot. Shot blocked by Norris. Spins out for Verhoeven. Still well into Dallas territory on the San Diego right. Wide with David Vasquez, the recent substitute. And now here's Godoy, who came on with him. It's rolled through the lines up to Vasquez just at the far corner of the 18. Slip pass to Dreyer towards the byline. Cutback ball is towards Mighton. Well defended by Shaq Moore. Sliding in at the top of the 6 to put it behind for a corner. taken quickly. And cut back to the byline once again. This time it's Fairkoff who puts it out off of Norris. And they'll do it again from the far corner flag.
I mean, as we creep towards the 80th minute, it really does feel like there's one more goal in this game. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be San Diego to seal it or Dallas to equalize.
It'll be an in-swinging service from the far corner flag for San Diego, and this time it looks like they will take it into the box. Sirois with the crowded 6-yard box around him. Whipped in towards the near post, flicked along off the San Diego head, and behind for a goal kick. The referees took their time in deciding that one, but from our vantage point up on the broadcast, it was pretty clear that it came off a San Diego head last, and they got it right. Sirois sends everybody up the field.
Yeah, you feel like that's one where the referee just sort of watches all the players' reactions, and as they were all sort of walking away, he decides, well, if they're all walking away, it must be a goal kick. I didn't see it, but that's what we're going to call.
Sirois launches it long, well beyond the halfway line up to the right side. Header won by Sverkov. And breaks for Manu Dua. San Diego moving it up the near sideline. Combining well. And now Valicari puts it up towards Mighton, who can't control it. And it's out for a Dallas throw, and Logan Farrington will be the final Dallas change. As he makes his way towards the halfway line, he'll replace Sebastian Ibiaga.
So that means Dallas will go back to 4 men in the back. Push one more attacker forward and hope that they can keep San Diego contained on that transition. Keep San Diego from getting the counterattack goal that would probably seal it.
So the perfect Parrington reunited for the first time since Moose's World Cup exploits. And they've got 11 minutes plus stoppage time to try and rescue something on the road here. There's a big coming together deep in Dallas territory. Uriguide up against Vasquez, and it was a free kick for Dallas taken quickly. Now Moreno darting through the middle of the attacking half. Plays it over to Musa, who's dropping in deeper here. Farrington leading the line. It's a chip ball up towards Logan Farrington, and it's his first touch that's unable to bring it down inside the box. But an immediate idea between those two up front for Dallas. Musa trying to drop it in behind, and it was just out of the reach of Logan Farrington.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, Ryan. I mean, Musa's passing again has been so good tonight when he's been able to get on the ball, which he has a lot more over the last 15 minutes.
So we're into the final 10 minutes of the 90. Possession with San Diego. Godoy dribbling it forward, rolled out to the right side and played backwards once again. San Diego moves it along the back line to Dua just outside the 18. Sverkov closed down by Kappas. Worked it out to the right side as the whistle goes. Kamungo a little bit late there, and yellow card is out of the pocket for Bernard Kamungo.
He's not one of 4 Dallas players sitting on a yellow card, sitting on that yellow card warning accumulation.
Not sure how that was any worse of a tackle than 3 or 4 we've seen from San Diego tonight, but Kamungo is the first name taken by Victor Rivas. Free kick from just shy of the halfway line is taken short by San Diego, and they work it backwards up the far sideline. Godoy under some pressure, keeps it moving back to Dua, who now brings it forward on the dribble. Pass ahead to the halfway line. Valicari bringing it forward on the dribble, works it out to Sargent, advancing from left back. Back heel back to Valicari, and now into the middle for Godoy. Wide once again for the moment, but that's back for Godoy, who's seen a lot of the ball since coming on. San Diego work it back into their own half. Godoy now turning under pressure from Kappas. Referee plays advantage as Shaq Moore came flying in against Alex Mighton. Let San Diego keep possession. Work it out to the far side. Played up the far side line for Vasquez. Near the corner flag on the far side up against Norris. Looking for a way to split the 2 defenders. He turns and plays it backwards. Sverkov in the right center channel. The San Diego attack. Combining in tight quarters with Anibal Godoy, who's now moving infield on the dribble, being hounded by Logan Farrington backwards towards the halfway line. And now Julio's using his fresh legs off the bench to try and put pressure higher up the field. Moreno gambled and He was beaten there by Verhoeven, who dropped the ball in behind. Well read by Shaq Moore. Played back to Sirois, who will hit a bouncing ball clear out to the left side. Brought down by Kamungo and played off of the San Diego player, but well kept in play there by Sverkov. And now Vasquez had a free kick, but referee plays advantage. San Diego still has it wide on the right side. Played back to the halfway line as we're in the 83rd minute now. 2 or 3 minutes of continuous possession for San Diego as they're looking to see out their first win since the World Cup, first win since defeating Austin on May 13th. Sverkov up the left wing to Maiton. Cut back ball into the area. Set back to the top of the box. Valicari spots the run of Verhoeven into the middle for Vasquez. Vasquez sets it back to the top of the box. Now wide again. And they work it backwards up the far side.
San Diego doing a really good job here, just reclaiming.
There's a back heel at the top of the box. Now Dreyer with a lane to shoot. Low shot to the left of the goalkeeper. Saved by Sirois, diving down to his left.
Yeah, pretty routine save there. San Diego doing a really good job of just reclaiming momentum in this game, which they had lost there for a while.
Musa receives it deep in his own half, plays it forward to Farrington now, right at the halfway line. On the right side, Farrington will turn and play it back to Shaq Moore. Kappas turning as he receives it just shy of the center circle, keeps it moving. Norris with a drop of the shoulder, then finds Moreno in the center circle. Scooped ball in behind, looking for the run of Julio. Bouncing ball breaks kindly for Manu Dua. Could have spun in behind there for Anderson Julio, who's been able to test that back line a couple of times with some good runs.
That ball got in behind Christopher McVeigh. I don't think.
Good intervention from Kamungo, but Kaique couldn't find a teammate. Gives it away. And San Diego now playing through that first line of Dallas pressure out to the left side. Sverkov turning in the defensive half. Farrington putting some pressure on him now. Chasing it all the way through to Dua. McVeigh playing it forward. Valicari turning. And now Godoy freed up as the extra man there in that quick exchange of passes. Now they can work it out to the far sideline. Verhoeven turns back just shy of the halfway line.
Sverkov now with 175 touches.
San Diego coming into the game 13th in the West, just 4 wins on the season, and a couple of those were the first 2 weeks of the season. It's been a really long, grim run of form for Mike Ibarra's side, but they've looked a little bit more like 2025 San Diego today as Maiton fires the ball through the 18, breaks to the top of the box for Godoy. Vasquez back to Godoy from the top of the 6, fired low through the 6-yard box, and Kappas puts it up and over the top for a corner. Could have been much more for San Diego.
Godoy's come in and done exactly what you would expect him to do. He's got a lot of experience, more than Alvarado, and he's helped them reclaim possession in midfield, helped them reclaim control in midfield, and I think substitutions on both sides have really significantly changed the game tonight.
Dallas still within one of potentially grabbing another road point, but it's a San Diego corner to defend before they can even think about that. San Diego going to make another change here as Luca Bombino will replace Kieran Sargent, and Lewis Morgan will replace Ani Valicari. So for the first time in his career, Ani Valicari fails to register a goal contribution against FC Dallas, but he still leaves on the winning end of the scoreboard.
And he was certainly part of that little triangle that was working so well right at the top of the 18 tonight for San Diego. So he definitely put in a shift.
Morgan on for his 10th appearance, having come over from Red Bull New York in the offseason. He'll join in as they attack this corner in the 87th minute. Anders Dreyer from the far side looks for an in-swinger off the left foot. Waits for the okay from the referee. And now raises the right arm and whips it in off the left foot to the top of the 6, headed away by Julio. And recovered by Bombino. Wide of the 18 on the near side. Combining with Sverkov, it broke back towards Bombino, but Moreno did some good defensive work there to come away with it. Appeals for a handball as Bombino goes down, and it will be a free kick. for Dallas, as it did pop up and hit an arm there. Deep in their own territory, wide of the 18 towards the near side. So we're in the 88th minute. Sirois launches it long. Up towards Farrington. And Farrington penalized for contact there against Bombino.
That's not really a smart foul. I mean, Dallas really hasn't had possession in the last 4 or 5 minutes, and they had a chance there to at least get something going and at least push the game into San Diego's half.
The goal for Alvarado in the 50th minute is the difference, as after a quick restart, there's a foul committed again by Dallas, and Anderson Julio picks up a yellow card. Bombino straight into the action, has now won a couple of free kicks for his team. Another minute elapses in this game. Julio just stepping on the foot, Bombino.
Yeah, it looked like it was just sort of clumsy there from Anderson Julio.
Launched up the near side by San Diego. Lewis Morgan will give chase, now setting up on the left wing. And it runs out of play. Both players appealing for it. It'll be a Dallas throw-in.
And Dallas just has to be able to put their foot on the ball here, establish a little bit of possession, break that first line, and move the game into San Diego's half.
Shaq Moore launches it up towards Logan Farrington, who's gone down there. Referee didn't spot enough for a foul. Possession turns over immediately to San Diego. Sverkov from the center circle playing it forward. Nice flick towards Vasquez. Shaq Moore got a piece of it out towards Kamungo on the far side. Spinning pass deflects off of Kamungo and out for a San Diego throw.
San Diego just winning all the challenges right now.
Dallas coming into tonight on a 4-game unbeaten stretch on the road. They had 3 wins and then the draw in Portland. And that is under some severe threat here as we're into the 90th minute. Plus whatever will be added on. No real significant stoppages in the second half. Someone taking up the far sideline. Hooked away by Kamungo, but out for another throw. And this has not looked like a San Diego team that has committed so many self-inflicted wounds throughout the season. It looked like maybe they've regrouped. They fell to a late goal in Colorado in their first game back after the World Cup, but the way they've controlled this game with the lead, it's been really impressive. Dallas looking for something maybe in the final seconds. Kamungo sends it up towards Farrington at the halfway line, nods it wide to the left side. Musa, though, can't keep it in play. It'll be another throw-in for the home team.
Yeah, Ryan, there was about a 10 or 12-minute window there where Dallas, after the changes, particularly with Kamungo, Marino, Anderson Julio, looked like they might have had a chance to create some opportunities, and looks like that window is just shut now.
Bouncing ball deep in Dallas territory. Kamungo trying to dig it out. Knocks it out off of Godoy and then wins a free kick as we're into 4 minutes of second half stoppage time. Norris playing it back to Sirois. Plays it along the ground out to Shaq Moore. First time pass into the middle. Can't find Kappas. Sverkov winning it back. Undoubtedly the man of the match in this one. Maybe San Diego now looking to put the finishing touches on it. Godoy from the top of the box over to Mighton inside the area. And Norris knocks it out off of Mighton. It'll be a Dallas goal kick. And we're just about a minute into the 4 added on. Can they create one chance in the final seconds? It's up towards Musa. Bounces the way of Logan Farrington. Nodded back towards Musa. Moving left out towards the attacking third. Now moving back to the halfway line. Kaique hits a switching ball in the air over to Shaq Moore. Under hit pass into the middle. Gives it away. And now San Diego can advance up this near side. Anders Dreyer walking it forward. 3 to his right. As he approaches the top of the box. Slip pass in for Dreyer. From Dreyer towards Morgan. Sliding tackle from Kaique. Puts it out for a corner.
There's some tired legs for Dallas right now, playing 2 games this week, coming off the break. And right now Shaq Moore looks very tired. It's twice in a row that he's just hit bad passes. And, he's put in a lot of miles over the last few days. So have Kappas and Kaique, by the way.
Yeah, it's another one where the first half enforced change in goal costs you not getting another substitute into the game. Corner kick taken short on the near side by San Diego. Back to Bombino. Now back up the near sideline for Dua. And a loose pass. He gives it away, and now Logan Farrington's in behind with Musa to his right. Farrington at the top of the box, shot blocked by Dua on the retreat. And that was a golden opportunity gifted to Dallas. And Logan Farrington looks the gift horse in the mouth in stoppage time.
Sam Sarver, where are you? He's been so good on that kind of break. And, I mean, Logan Farrington had a lot of time to work with that one, and he had an option to go over to Petar Musa as well.
And that is the exact type of error that San Diego has committed this season that's kept them from winning games. And they just got away with one there. Good recovery from Dua, but Farrington has to do better. And we're in towards the final minute. And Bombino brings it forward out to the left side. Dreyer enters the area to the byline. Cutback ball is blocked by Shaq Moore. And Morgan runs for the corner flag.
And, I mean, it was an awful giveaway.
Kappas has it now, deep in his own half. Dispossessed up towards the halfway line with Dua, who's breathing a big sigh of relief now.
Dallas has just been careless with the ball way too much tonight. That was another one. Kappas just letting the pressure get to him over his shoulder.
And San Diego in possession in the final 30 seconds now, out to Verhoeven in the attacking half. And they're going to look to pass this one to sleep. Nearly caught themselves out with that crucial error. And that may be the wake-up call they needed here in second half stoppage time. Godoy switching the point of attack out to Bombino. Dallas emptying the legs to try and chase, but they've been chasing all night. San Diego look back to their dominant best with the ball. As the final whistle sounds at Snapdragon Stadium, it's not quite the 5-0 bloodbath of 2025, but it was in every way as dominant for San Diego tonight. The goal comes for Alejandro Alvarado in the 50th minute, and Dallas never finding a way back in. The late chance for Logan Farrington, the closest they came. And they will regroup and go again in LA on August 1st, as they'll be on the road for the 5th of this 9-game road stretch. Tonight, though, finishes up 1-0 to the home side, San Diego FC. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
Hey campers, it's Jan from Toyota. This summer, we're headed to Camp Toyota, and the fun starts now. We're kicking things off by kicking up mud. Jump in, campers. We're going off-roading in a 4Runner. Next, we're heading to the hot springs in a RAV4. And finally, park your Tundras and Tacomas around the campfire, because we're roasting marshmallows. Your summer starts here.
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends June 1st. Toyota, let's go places.
UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas, Texas, where discoveries change lives. The spark of collaboration that fuels bold thinking in our labs. The spark of inspiration that motivates greatness in the next generation. And the spark of innovation that pushes the boundaries of today's care. At UT Southwestern, teamwork and talent combine to fuel discovery, education, and healing. UT Southwestern, the future of medicine sparks here.
This is Logan Farrington, striker for FC Dallas. Behind every goal, there's a team you don't always see. The ones keeping everything running, secure, connected, ready. That's General Informatics. From cybersecurity to smarter IT solutions, General Informatics powers FC Dallas with advanced technology support so we can stay focused on the game. General Informatics. Complex IT made simple.
After 90-plus minutes at Snapdragon Stadium, FC Dallas remains winless in San Diego as they lose 1-0 tonight after Alejandro Alvaro just bangs in a wonder goal from about 25 yards, and Dallas can't quite find an answer despite a couple of very good late chances. Hello, everybody. It is the FC Dallas postgame show brought to you tonight by your local Toyota dealer, Toyota. Let's go places. Also brought to you this evening by UMB Bank. See how UMB can help you achieve your business goals. I'm your host, Sam Hale. I'll be joined in just a moment by the voices of tonight's contest, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. No highlights tonight, as we mentioned. The only goal this evening, Alejandro Alvarado's goal in the 50th minute, his first MLS goal seals Dallas's fate as they drop a road game tonight, the second one at Snapdragon Stadium since it opened. Let's go ahead and get you your post-game stats. Those are brought to you by UMB Bank. Possession-wise goes the way of San Diego 69-31. 19 shots for the Chrome and Azul, 8 on target. Dallas, meanwhile, 7 total shots, just 1 of those on target this evening for the Burn. You had 7 saves across both goalkeepers, Daniel and Jonathan Serrois tonight for Dallas, just 1 for CJ Dos Santos. 10 fouls, 2 yellow cards for Dallas, 10 fouls, no yellow cards for San Diego this evening. And let's bring in the voices of tonight's contest, Ryan Figert and Steve Davis. And I want to posit a couple ideas here and get the room's reaction on it. One, I'm willing to call that the worst FC Dallas performance of the season so far, even though it may not the score may not betray that, but I definitely think if you watch all 90, not a lot to write home about, save for about 1 or 2 players. And 2, I wonder if this is going to end up being almost a styles make fight matchup for FC Dallas in this current iteration of them and in San Diego, because we've seen Dallas play a lot better this year, but it seems like whenever San Diego either comes to town or Dallas goes there, and specifically when Yepi Sveriskov is involved in this game, boy, Dallas just kind of gets the cartoon canaries over their head. They just don't seem to know what to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he is one of the best players in Major League Soccer. You know, it's an underappreciated role. He's not a goals and assists guy, but he has the ability to run the game if you let him. And obviously it's at a different standard, but like we saw from Rodri at the World Cup, the way that he just controlled the game for Spain. And if any team in MLS tries to emulate that sort of model of play, it's San Diego. They want all of the ball. They want it all the time. They want to quickly counter press and win it back as soon as they lose it. And they want to create out of possession. And that takes a player that plays in front of the back line that can dictate the tempo, and they've got that. And Yepi Sveriskov now he's moving in later into his 30s, and maybe he can't keep this up forever, but he had a night tonight like he had consistently in 2025 where he just gets out there and runs the game. And I think when you talk about the Dallas performance, you're going to have to circle that and say, how did this happen? We knew this was the game plan. We know this is San Diego at their best. It runs through him. How did you let him have I don't even know how many touches he ended up with in the end. Steve probably has it written down.
186.
Nearly
oh my God.
200 touches
wow.
in a game. I mean, it's unacceptable. You can't let a guy run the game like that, particularly when you're trailing for 40 minutes. You've got to find a way to get more possession and create more and keep it away from the guy that can just keep giving and getting and giving and getting and be so technically sound as well as tactically aware just to run the game like that.
And it's not like Sverskov's touches were a lot of controlling the ball in his own half. Most of those touches were in FC Dallas's half, and quite a few of them were maybe not balls into the final third, although some of them were, but they're very close to the final third, so maybe it was the pass that led to the pass. And, he had a tremendous game. I feel like there are nights when some things don't go right for you, and then there are nights, not very many of them, hopefully, but where nothing goes right for you. Dallas's defensive structure wasn't good. Their attack wasn't good. I don't feel like playing those 2 interior guys who are interior players, playing them on the wings, that just didn't really work. Talking about Benjamin and Valiente, which is how Dallas started in that 4-4-2. Delgado had another game where he just wasn't impactful. So there just wasn't much at all going right. And honestly, Dallas was lucky to get out of the first half 0-0. And then, as you said, Sam, Alvarado hits a pretty good goal. But I almost feel like 1-0 flatters Dallas a little bit here. Yes. As I said right before the game broadcast ended, there was a 10 or 12-minute stretch where you felt like, look at this, Santi Marino's introduction, Bernie Kamungo over there on the left side. They've got a little something going now. When Musa goes over there, there's a little triangle where they're working together. You felt like maybe they could, do something there. Then I feel like Mikey Varas did a good thing. He got Anibal Godoy into the game, restabilized the game for them, and they just saw it out from there.
Yeah, and I think, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about the goalkeeping situation, but losing Daniel in the 19th minute when he had already made 3 saves and had looked really sharp to start the game, I think it's no real knock on Serrois, who comes in and makes 4 saves and had some good moments, particularly coming out off his line. But the goal that Dallas goes on to concede is the exact reason that they went and got Daniel. They wanted somebody with the longer reach. They wanted somebody that could reach those corners, the lower corners, the upper corners. And so to concede a goal like that after Daniel, had only just arrived, played one game, and now in his second game goes out injured with what looked like some sort of, muscle injury on his right leg. That's a tough way to concede the game's only goal. Not that, that meant that it was an undeserved result for San Diego in any way, but conceding in that way is going to be particularly frustrating.
Well, I feel like, we always say it's one of the oldest, bromides in soccer that you want your goalkeeper to make the routine saves and then make a save every now and then that keeps you in the game. And you almost feel like that was one that Serrois, maybe if he'd, if he had a little bit more game sharpness, maybe he could have gotten to. I feel like he either saw it a little late or caught it between steps because it just looked to me like he dove a little bit late, and that was it. That was the game.
I would also contend, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm a little goalkeeper biased here. I'm not sure that Daniel or Serrois stops that. I also just don't think you can give a player that much space. If you go back and look at the goal, partially in credit to Alvarado because he makes the spin and that opens up all that space in that time. But somebody's got to be on top of him there to at least make that a contested shot. He had all day to read a book and make some tea.
Yeah, I think, what I said just a few minutes ago, Kaique and Kappas having played so much in the middle for 2 consecutive games now. Correct me if I'm wrong, but neither of them came out against Portland. Neither
Correct.
of them came out tonight. And, Alvarado, it's a nice little spin, but he spins right in between those two guys. And when you've got your 2 central midfielders collapsing, yeah, you're right, Sam. Somebody could have stepped out on him a little bit quicker, but there is a lot of room to make up there when you're stepping literally right between your 2 central midfielders.
Somebody has to do something there.
Yeah, it's a real depth issue, and it's one that needs to be addressed very soon. The transfer window is open. They need to find somebody to come in and be an extra body or even somebody that can elevate this midfield group because with no Ramiro and we hear for maybe as much as a month, there's just too many games to be running the same midfield pairing consistently for 90 minutes on short rest, going into Leagues Cup and all of that. So they're going to need to find answers, and it's probably going to have to come from out of the squad in that particular department.
Yeah, Benjamin was brought in as a guy that can play centrally, so maybe that's some kind of an answer, although he didn't really look very comfortable in there as he played a few minutes in there in the middle earlier this year. I think maybe now he's more settled into the team, so maybe that's a little bit unfair for me to say. Maybe if you put him in there now, he would look a little better in his more natural position. So one way or the other, though, what's going to happen now is they do have a week before their next game. They play Galaxy a week from tonight. But after that, this week that you just had, it repeats and repeats and repeats where they're playing 2 games a week. And that goes on for quite a while.
And by the way, you're also going to have to travel for a lot of that because you're going to go to San Jose, you're going to go to Mexico, you're going to come back to Austin. Like the miles are going to pile up both on the pitch and off the pitch, and it's going to be a concern. I want to point to 2 moments tonight that I felt kind of recognized that this game was cursed for Dallas. 72nd minute, Santi Moreno has a ball, and Anderson Julio does a good job to kind of get behind the line, do the thing he does. The ball comes back to Moreno, and it looks like he can't miss, and then he kind of just scoops it over the goal, it turns out. And it's easy for us to say it here, 5,000 miles away. Oh, that's easy. But, man, it's just he's going to want that one back. And then 90th plus 3rd minute, Logan and Musa are on that breakaway, just a dumb giveaway by San Diego. They felt like the Portland goal all over again, and Logan just can't quite sort out what he wants to do, and it ends up going astray. And, man, it just felt like if you were going to salvage a point, it was going to be on one of those 2 particular moments, and that Dallas didn't tells you this just was not their night.
Yeah, it was a great run. Talking about the Moreno chance, a great run from Julio, who I think showed pretty well in his time off the bench, and that was an encouraging sign to get him back for the first time since I think the 3rd week of the season when he suffered that injury.
It was very early.
It's been a long time, and so to see him, doing some of the things that he does well and getting him behind. But I think if he was fully sharp, he probably takes the touch a little bit further away from the goalkeeper and maybe scores himself. But in any case, it breaks out to Moreno at the top of the box. And Moreno has been such a pass-first guy ever since he arrived in Dallas. And, he has Musa demanding the ball 5 yards to his left. Nobody for San Diego is going to expect the pass there. And sometimes that extra pass can just open up for an easy finish. And particularly when it's Pedro Musa, I think, this is hindsight is 20/20, but the pass is the one to make there. It's the chip shot is possible, and I think Moreno has the quality to do it, but it's always tough to get the weight right. And maybe somebody like Manu Dua, who's 6'4", gets back on the line and heads it away, even if the goalkeeper's out. But if you slide that to Musa, I think he's going to absolutely rip the back of the net. And that was a huge opportunity, probably the best opportunity created by Dallas in the run of play. And obviously the real best opportunity came because of the error in stoppage time from San Diego. And it was a very un-Logan Farrington-like moment, because we saw, particularly early in the season, these situations where he gets in behind, chops past defenders, sells them on a fake, and he just, very vanilla, dribbled up to the top of the box a little bit too slowly, takes the shot, and lets the defense get back in time and Dua blocks it. So I don't know if it was, tired legs, if he had run himself into the ground coming off the bench, but it was, you called it, Steve, during the broadcast that was a Sam Sarver moment that Logan Farrington was unable to convert.
Yeah, it's we say this sometimes where you have a little bit too much time. I feel like the good Logan Farrington moments have been, ball over his shoulder. He just has to reach out, take the touch, and take the shot, or move around the goalkeeper or whatever. But it's lickety split, and that time he had so much time that you sort of feel like, okay, I've broken away. There's somebody 12 yards behind me. I've got a little bit of time here. Maybe it's better when it's just pure instinct, and it just wasn't his best moment.
Looking at a couple of the individual performances, we've talked a little bit at the goalkeepers, and I think, Alvarado goal aside, Daniel and Serwa both, I think, looked, quality tonight. Obviously, we'll find out how long, if at all, Daniel is gone. That didn't look very fun that he was dealing with there, so sending healing vibes to him, hoping it's nothing major. But I think, and I brought this up on the Wednesday show, and Steve, I think you accurately called it, got to stop being surprised by Nolan Norris at this point, because, we talked about in the pregame show, him versus Andres Dreyer was going to be a challenge. Obviously, you lose tonight, and Dreyer had some moments, but we were much more talking about guys like Sverkov, Valakari, and even, someone like Ingvarsson. But, Dreyer, I won't say he was shut down, but he was definitely limited tonight, and Nolan had a part in that.
Well, I wouldn't. So I guess I would characterize it a little bit differently. The way Dreyer plays, he gets out on the break, and then with the ball, he wants to come inside and sort of play making that right center half space. So it's not really like a one-to-one. On the other side, Mighton was going against Shaq Moore early. That one you could say one-on-one. But on the other side, it wasn't. I agree, Nolan Norris had a fine game, but it wasn't so much that he shut down Dreyer. I think Dreyer, plays a little bit more on the interior, and as they're moving the ball through there, through Sverskov, through Valakari, through Ingvarsson, but Dreyer is also in there playing those balls into that interior channel that was just ripping Dallas apart early. So I think it was like that, and I will push back just a little bit on Serwa with you, because you say he had a quality match, but he let in a goal that was a good shot, but maybe not an outstanding one. And then he gets beat on a ball that bounced off the turf. There's another one where he punches when there's no pressure there. I felt like maybe he could have caught that one. With Serwa, I don't know if he's done anything really wrong for me, but every time I see him, I'm just not sure he inspires a lot of confidence. I don't see him really commanding a commanding presence that I would like to see from him. I don't know, Ryan. What do you think about that? You want to break the tie there?
I don't feel strongly either way. I think he was fine. I think he made the saves you expect him to make. Didn't make the save that maybe you want your starting goalkeeper to make to keep you in the game. And I think maybe it's back to an open competition if Daniel's out between Collodi and Serwa, and Collodi briefly out of the squad entirely there for these 2 games, but he'll be back in at least if Daniel's out as the backup. But, I think he has a claim to try and get back in the team as well. I think maybe, if anything, this could inspire them both to try and raise their level and win that starting spot back.
Yeah, and Collodi's easily the better player with his feet. Serwa's distribution is not it's not his strong suit.
Yeah, we were kind of wondering, off air when they announced the Daniel thing, well, what are they going to do? They have 3 guys for 2 spots. Don't worry, the universe took care of that. It looks like, at least temporarily.
Maybe we'll see. I mean, maybe it's not that hamstring that he was grabbing is what it looked like. Maybe it's not as bad as all that. Let's hope so.
Well, I certainly hope not. Like, the best case scenario would be that he gets a little heat or something and it gets right back on there. Obviously, I don't want to excuse the performance tonight, because if you put on the shirt and you go out there, you are exposed to what it is. but I think Ryan kind of brought this up and maybe worth digging into a little bit. Obviously, playing on Wednesday and playing against a possession-heavy team like San Diego, that's going to put you on skates at times. I mean, almost 70% total possession tonight, and defending, as we've heard from coaches, is harder than attacking because you're having to always keep your head up. You're always having to think a lot more. It kind of just highlights having to play so many guys that played on Wednesday. Just the squad depth. Even though this team is performing well, they're in 5th place in the West. There is still room to grow when you look at like San Diego, who can bring off a guy like Oni Valakaran and bring up Annabelle Godoy, who has a lot of MLS experience and who is just a right fit for that moment.
Yeah, I think the squad depth is in certain spots, and it's not in certain spots.
Yes.
I think the forward line, you look at that and you say you've got options, you've got different profiles, you've got elite quality there. I think you could look at places like left back. You've got Nolan Norris. You feel like comfortable there. And you've got somebody like Bernard Kamungo who can fill in there. Right back feels strong with Herman and Shaq. You've got 3 center backs you're comfortable with playing in there. But the midfield, you don't have any depth right now. And I think, as I already mentioned, that's going to be somewhere that they've got to strengthen this squad. Whether you bring in somebody who's more of a depth piece or you bring in somebody who could come in and make somebody like a Kaique or a Kappas into a depth piece because they're good enough to immediately come in and start. I think that's somewhere you need to immediately reinforce. And fortunately, with the injury for Daniel tonight, goalkeeper's somewhere where you do have some depth and you have guys that are proven at this level to come in and play.
We kind of questioned about Patrickson. He ends up playing 61 minutes tonight. Santi Moreno comes in, and the impact, full credit to Santi. I think you could see the change in Dallas's offense. It doesn't result in a goal or a point, but it looked like the offense was a little more cohesive. And I think this kind of continues that Patrickson timeline of sometimes he has good games. So the inconsistency of him, I think Steve kind of showed tonight, where he pops up with a goal on Wednesday, he earns the trust for a start tonight, and then he just doesn't make a huge impact on this one.
Yeah, to me, the difference in the way the attack looks with Patrickson Delgado versus Santi Marino, it's night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the plus side for Patrickson, he comes up with a goal every now and then. Santi Marino hasn't really shown his goal scoring form as he moved over to FC Dallas. We know he scored a few goals previously with Portland, but he was still more of an assist guy at that time. So it's just that the fitness, whether there's maybe a little bit of an injury issue or he just doesn't have the legs and the lungs right now. Santi Marino just can't play a whole lot right now, and so that means you've got to have another guy to go to. And right now, though, I just see a huge gap in how the team plays between Delgado and Marino.
Yeah, I think absolutely I agree with you there, and clearly there's something going on with Santi Moreno for him not to be playing more. But I don't feel like anybody was really set up to succeed tonight. I feel like the game plan was not well tuned to the opponent, and San Diego is such an outlier in terms of how they want to play. There are a few teams in MLS who try and keep the ball like they do. Really nobody. Maybe Vancouver when they're at their best is up there. Maybe Miami, at times, but nobody really tries to play like San Diego. And I felt like Dallas maybe just kind of walked in to Snapdragon Stadium tonight and said, we're going to play how we play. We're going to try and hit on the counter. And San Diego just snuffed out every counter at the source.
Yep.
And they didn't, with the starting 11 in particular, I felt like it didn't match what the game needed because they didn't have the ability to go direct. They didn't have Logan Farrington and Musa together, or they didn't have a counterattacking threat like a Julio or a Sarver or a Kamungo in the starting lineup. And then in the same way, they also didn't have feet in the midfield to play out of the pressure, and that I think is more of a squad issue. But if you had Santi Moreno, maybe that gets a little bit better. Or, they also didn't counteract the impact of Sverkov like we talked about earlier. And maybe you bring in Valiente to be that guy off the striker because we know about his work rate, and he has good situational awareness, good defensive skill to potentially at least slow down Sverkov and his ability to impact the game by getting a more astute defensive player in the midfield with that work rate like Valiente. It felt like none of those, options were exercised in this one, and instead you came away with a lineup that I don't know what this lineup could be good at. They don't have enough of, a strength that stands out to me, particularly in a matchup like this, where, you're going to be on the back foot. You're going to be trying to press at times, but most of the time you're going to be pinned back in a deep defensive block. I guess you can say really they limited high XG chances. They almost none for San Diego. And I think if there's one positive you can come away with tonight, it's that the emergency defending, the last-ditch tackles, the 1v1 duels in the back were good. But everything else, I think tonight, you've got to go back to the drawing board in terms of when you play high possession teams, and you probably won't, to this extreme again. But there are teams that like to be in the high 50s, in terms of percentage possession. This will happen again. And you maybe you see San Diego in a playoff series down the line. I mean, they're going to be better than 13th where they came into tonight. And I just feel like you have to make a little bit more of an adjustment to the opposition than we saw tonight, and make, just pick one of those options, whether it's, hey, we're going to limit Svirkov. That's what we're going to do tactically. Hey, we're going to hit over the top in behind on the counter. We're going to play Julio, or we're going to play Sarver, or both. Or, we're going to have feet in the midfield and try and play through the pressure. Or we're going to play up to the two big men. Just give me one of those options. I felt like the lineup tonight didn't give me any of those options. And ultimately, none of the players that started felt like they were set up to succeed.
Well, it's a great point. It's not like, though, Dallas didn't have a formula, didn't find a formula previously. They did. The problem was that it was in March when it was cooler. They had a little bit more rest. They weren't coming off, just 2 days of rest and travel. When they pressed high and hard as these teams met in Dallas, that was now that ended up a 3-3 draw. But again, there was a couple of fluky goals. There was 2 penalty kick goals by San Diego. But Dallas, for 30 minutes of that game, they had them. Now Svirkov wasn't playing in that one, and he came in the second half, and that had a lot to do with it as well. But so there is a formula there where they have had some success, but Eric Will didn't feel like he could do that tonight. Just because of the heavier legs. And I agree. And I would also add to that, when Patrickson Delgado is in there, and I don't mean to make this just pick on him, make it all about him, because you're right. I don't think anybody was good tonight. But let me ask you, who does he have good chemistry with? Because, I can sort of look around the team, and obviously Logan and Petter Musa have great chemistry. And, I feel like Herman Johansson sort of understands the guys around him, and he knows, where to be when he plays on that right side. And, I feel like, Nolan and then even Santi, Marino are sort of developing a little something on that left side. But who does Delgado have good chemistry with? It's like he's never really meshes with anybody around him.
Yeah, I think it speaks to his unpredictability, not just for us and not knowing what to expect from him, but maybe even from his own teammates players, and not knowing the types of runs that he wants to make, or the type of combinations we saw sometimes in the first half where he made a run short and the ball goes in behind, or vice versa. Maybe if there's one player that I think has some level of understanding with him, it'd be Valiente. But, for him to be in year 3 in Dallas and for us to not feel like we know what to expect from him, much less his teammates, I think that is a little bit damning.
Great point.
Before we get out of here, I want to raise this last point. Obviously, we're about to see a big run after the LA Galaxy game of 2/3 match week for FC Dallas. Does tonight's performance, knowing that probably some of it was influenced by the fact that you played on Wednesday and by the fact that you played, a lot of hard and in some case hot minutes, does this give you any additional worry than what you already had ahead of these with these next 2 or 3 weeks looming?
The issue for me is that Ryan really spelled it out pretty well a while ago, that they're good with depth in some places, but in a way, like, this team is one badly placed injury away from disaster. I don't feel like there's a lot of cover there at center back, and there's definitely not in the central midfield. So that concerns me a little bit. I guess sort of narrowing the picture, though. Tonight, this game, because of the matchup with San Diego, it just doesn't look like a good matchup, because especially when you're on the road, second game in 4 days. I think you can sort of throw this one out based on how they've played over the last 6 or 7 games. Before that, I know there's a big break in there, but I thought they played okay against Portland. I'm willing to just sort of call this one for now, call it the anomaly, and just not worry too much about it.
Yeah, I would say that, it's great that they got the points that they did in the first 15 games of the season, but you can't rest on any of that. You can't assume that you're the same team that you were then. This is 2 months that have gone by. Teams have developed, teams have changed coaches, teams have brought in new players. you can't assume that you're going to show up to anybody's house and play and be dominant like they were at stretches in the first part of this season. And I think, to me, it feels like a team that is crying out for one or two additions to bring some fresh legs and bring some new ideas and bring quality and give Eric Quill some more options and depth. And I hope, that those, conversations are underway behind the scenes as we're into the transfer window now, which runs, I believe, through the end of August. So there's still plenty of time for those additions to be made, but we're about to be in the stretch after this Galaxy game where they are going to be needed. If they're coming, they're going to be needed, those reinforcements. So it feels like a squad that did really well and a coach that did really well to maximize that squad in the first part of the season. But now they've got to bring it and then bring new energy and hopefully maybe bring a new player or two along with them into this fight and this back half of the season where it's going to be, every 3 days and all the way up until a potential playoff berth.
Well, as Ryan mentioned, it is going to be LA Galaxy next week. The MLS All-Star Game is in the middle of the week. Congrats to Pedro Musa, who will be a part of the ceremonies there for MLS. But then Dallas gets back to it out at Dignity Health Sports Park. LA did already play tonight. They lose 3-1 to the seemingly resurgent St. Louis City team. Also, Emiro Garces picks up a red card, so he will not be available for next week's proceedings when Dallas heads out to L.A.
LA Galaxy?
Yes.
1-1 against
3-1 against St. Louis was their previous result, but they're currently winning against San Jose.
Okay. San Jose just equalized 1-1.
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
in
well,
live time.
There we go. See, Steve took me to VAR and correctly got me. Maybe Pro could learn some things from that.
I could look at it real quick. I was afraid maybe I was looking at the wrong one.
No, you can always safely assume I am looking at the wrong thing. But regardless, I can tell you the right thing is FC Dallas versus LA Galaxy next week at 9:30. So coverage on the FC Dallas Radio Network will begin at 9 o'clock. Yes,
and also,
Ryan?
just wanted to give a special shout-out to the City of Frisco and Visit Frisco offices for hosting us tonight for our broadcast. It was a fantastic experience. They've got a massive TV for us to watch the game on, and obviously wish it was a better result, but couldn't have asked for more in terms of our host.
Yeah, unfortunately, if the game matched the setting, then Dallas probably would have won by about 6 goals, so we will have to settle for that. But we will join you again for the FC Dallas agenda later this week, and then at 9 o'clock on Saturday night for some MLS After Dark action. That's going to do it for the postgame show. For Ryan Figert and Steve Davis, I have been Sam Hale. You've been listening to FC Dallas Soccer, presented by Toyota on the FC Dallas Radio Network.
The preceding broadcast has been a presentation of the FC Dallas Radio Network.